Hello there, everybody. How are we all? I am not good. I'm not even gonna fucking pretend. Well, welcome in. Yes. Thank you for asking. Um, yes. Apologies that I wasn't here yesterday, and apologies to the doctor, Christy Winters, who I had to bail out on relatively short order yesterday. Although I did tell her before the stream and all the rest of it. Anyway, real life intervened upon me in a rather unpleasant fashion. Arguments between loved ones occurred. It was enormously emotionally distressing. But there we go. We all live to fight another day. And I'm sure we will. Anyway, but I am also hopefully going to pick up a really terrible second-hand car, but reasonably cheap, next week, which is good. But that will mean I'm going to have to spend money, which is bad. And if you want to, in some way, alleviate that financial dread, you can. You can indeed do that. In the way that is always
Oil
an option.
like a baby otter.
You can be oiled like a baby otter, indeed. Where are we at? Thank you, Mellow Maggot. Lovely name, by the way. For gifting 5 summer
Oil
subs.
like a baby
We
otter.
don't need to hear it 5 times though. We get the yes. Much love to you. Yes, so you can do that in the normal ways. You can become a member. You can do subscriptions, super chats, bits, messages, all of that. Maybe not a Tesla. No, you couldn't pay me to drive a Tesla. No, I won't be doing that. Anyway, especially because, of course, I rather enjoy not setting on fire. Either inside of a terrorism or otherwise. Yes. And thank you, Main Captain, with 200 bitty bits. Much love! Yes. You can also hit the follow button and subscribe. You can subscribe with Amazon Prime. You can give subs to the community. You can give memberships to the community. Is also a thing you can do. I've got Patreon and PayPal. You can go over to the YouTube, the Discord, Blue Sky, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Threads. I'll use like half of those sites, in all honesty, but you know. It is what it is. Yes, so, as I had an unpleasant day yesterday, and I'll be honest with you, today has been a very me day. I've had to just recover, frankly. I'm not in the mood, remotely, to take on serious political topics tonight. Really, when it comes down to it, because you know how I'm quite a doomer person, right? I'm quite black-pilled in a number of ways. Tonight would be way worse, and I don't think that's productive. So I'm going to do something that's even less productive: drama, or more precisely, looking at other people's drama. I'm not really going to do drama as such, you know. So, but it's slop. It's just fucking slop. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. There's no greater fucking story to be told here. There's no maybe it's the friends we made along the way type journey. Nope. I just want to watch something vaguely entertaining to distract me from the hell world that we live in. So that's what we're going to do. That's all we're going to fucking do. Yes. Anyway. Before we get on to that slop, though, just one thing that did make me kind of smile today. So I'm just going to bring it to you. You know, I've talked about bears. Now, obviously, I have also talked about hairy homosexual men. I have talked about hairy homosexual men, but that's not on this occasion what I'm referring to. On this particular occasion, I am referring to the fur-covered animals that live in the woods with the big paws and their bears. I've talked about how there is a dissonance between them being friend-shaped and yet not being friend. And they need to stop this. They need to decide. Either stop being very, very cute or be cool so we can, like, chill together. And they're not helping their case here, okay? Not helping their case whatsoever. What the I honestly, I fucking hate the world and I want to die. Right. Look how fucking friend-shaped this bear is. You can't be this friend. You can't be this friend-shaped and friend-coded and not friend. Look at it. Imagine chilling. Imagine floating on a swimming pool with a fucking bear. How awesome that would be. You can't fucking keep getting away with this, bears! It's fucking adorable. Look, he even goes in for a little dip. Go on, lad. Imagine having a swim with a bear. That'd be fucking awesome. But no, it's very, very dangerous. So the bears, again, you need to decide. Cuteness or friendliness, okay? You have to embrace. You have to embrace the fucking, the full gig. You pricks. Anyway. Slop. As the title suggests, it's between the Kavernacle and Vanguard. I'll just take you through who those people are, I guess, for those who maybe don't know. The Vanguard are a collective, and by that I mean two people, who I really didn't like in the past. They were very much on their Jimmy Dore arc, like pro Jimmy Dore back in the day. It's yeah. Anyway, but they're now not shit for brained, so they're cool with that, and I'm on board with it. I've grown to quite like them. I think I've raided into them once or twice on the YouTubes when they've been going. And did they do Twitch? I can't even remember. Anyway, so there's that. But I also like the Kavernacle, who's a British / Irish YouTube person. I don't think they stream. I think they just do straightforward, like, edited content type stuff. And they're very good as well. So in many respects, this drama is slightly annoying from my perspective, because I like both of the people or both of the channels involved. But that doesn't mean we can't look at it and like a car crash or something. We can look at it and just rubberneck, I guess. So that's what we're going to do. Thank you, Duck Authority, for 22 months. Good lord. Oh, we're on a hype train as well. That's dope. If we get to level 2 of the hype train, I will finger... What's dead? I don't know. My happiness? I don't fucking know. Now, I'll finger a dead fascist of YouTube's choosing. What is this? That is a koala, I believe. Okie doke. Let's have a look. We've got a cheeky little koala situation going down. Oi oi. Roman General Sulla. Sulla is dead, to be fair, yeah. George Foreman's dead, but I don't feel like he deserves to be fingered. I don't think George Foreman did anything wrong. What is going on here? Oh, Mama Koala Bear. Okay. I thought this isn't going to be like another one of those American steals a bit of wildlife situations, is it? Oh, Mama Bear. Mama Bears are coming. Oh, it's the opposite way round. It's a returnal of bear. Fuck yes. Okay, awesome. We've got koala reunitings going on right now. I'm here for it. And then it's climbing on Mama's face. That's always helpful. And does it climb back up the tree now? Presumably to safety, away from the snakes and or bushfires. No, it's just going to chill. It's just going to chill there. Fair enough. Fair enough. Anyway, Slop. So, in terms of the video they're responding to, I had a watch of that at 2x speed, because he does speak quite slowly. No, 1.5 speed. Whatever. Anyway, and it's not terrible, it is a bit woke scoldy, and I don't like using that phrase, as I'm sure regular viewers will know, but it is a bit. It's a bit scoldy. I don't know how else to say it, really. It's a bit hectoring, and I don't particularly enjoy that. Anyway, so they took a look at it, and they got called out in it, so they responded. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. That's not muted, you prick.
Right. Point. All right, let's go.
In my realm as a second case study, and that is Ana Kasparian. So I checked for myself. I have made 3 videos on Ana Kasparian. We need
so this guy also makes anti-TYT videos apparently, but he does them in the correct way. This is how you're supposed to do it, Zach. If you want to criticize the Young Turks, take notes, guys. This is the respectful, polite, and classy way to do it.
Let's talk about TYT. I'm disappointed. Anna, Cenk, and trans rights. Why so many people are leaving the extreme woke left? This was focusing on an interview she gave like 6 months ago, and why Navarre Media could be the next TYT, and I talked about Cenk and Anna. So in one of those videos, I focused on Anna specifically. On the other 2, I focused on both of them. And what I went out of my way to do, as someone who did have this respect for Anna, especially growing up, is I tried not to make it super personal. I tried to make it, as much as possible, not an excuse for people just to say terrible things. You guys will know I don't like drama. I don't normally like call
Can we pause it?
individual creators out on our side. I just don't like doing that.
Yeah, so this guy's problem with
No, the Vanguard are very, very not pro-TYT. And I think the criticism on some level from Kavernacle is that the Vanguard are playing into misogynist tropes by criticising Ana Kasparian more than they should, I think, is the general gist of it. My issue with that kind of video is it makes it seem like there's no good faith way to criticise a woman more than once or twice. Yeah, unfortunately, 255, I think that is a fair criticism of the Kavernacle's approach to this. Yeah. Like, again, it's just a bit woke scoldy. It's a little bit like if you criticise women from any perspective in any situation, there has to be some sort of element of misogyny in there, and it's bollocks. Like, I'm always drawn back to this one fantastic tweet, and I forget exactly what the context for it was, but it was from a woman saying. And it was like, quote, "I support all women," unquote. No, I don't support all women. Some of you bitches are really fucking dumb, right? Was the tweet, and that kind of reminds me of like, if I were to treat a man who was being like aggressively corrupt, as Ana Kasparian is being, and the polymarket populists, if I was to criticise a man in that way, I don't know why I wouldn't want to support. Not support. If I was to criticise a man in that situation, why would I criticise a woman any less for that? Now, you do have to watch being suckered into a audience capture situation, which, for those who don't know, is the idea that, like, you know how we've talked in the past about the creator radicalising the audience? Well, audience capture is essentially the opposite way round. So there is a financial vested interest to create a certain type of content. Regardless of what type of content you do, there's a certain section of that does more well than others, right? More well than others. Jesus Christ, Gabe. You can speak English. You can. I trust you. Let's do this. Right. There's types of content that perform better in the algorithm than others, right? And so, because more people are clicking onto it, and more types of, or a specific type of person is clicking onto it more, you have, like I say, a financially vested interest to keep creating that and going further and further down the kind of the pipeline, if you will, towards that kind of content. And I think there are certain examples of people in spaces we've frequented, dear chat, people in like the atheist community or whatever, who turned into anti-feminists, not even because they were inherently trying to become misogynist content creators, but because that content did really well. And so they got kind of radicalized by the audience rather than the other way around. So even when you're criticizing these people, even if it's righteous criticism, you've got to be careful not to fall into certain tropes and stuff. That is certainly true. And you should always be self-critical in the sense that you should always be looking for failings on your own part. Like, there may still be elements of things you've believed over the years that you've sort of imbibed from the society around you that might be misogynist or racist or whatever, that you need to sort of tackle and deal with as you go on. But all that being said, the idea that in some way we should like treat women with kid gloves is, I think, sort of infantilizing and denies women a certain amount of agency, which in of itself kind of plays into a trope of misogyny. Now, I don't think either the Kavernacle or the Vanguard are actually like inherently misogynist content creators. I don't think that's what they're trying to do, and I don't think that's what they're playing into particularly. It's just that it's sort of difficult in an era where certainly people on the left care a lot more about like trying not to be directly offensive and things like that.
Get the fuck, like I'm not playing with all these mutants.
I will get to you in a second, Raiders. I was just in the middle of a point. In an era where the left cares a lot about trying not to offend people or trying to just generally have more acceptable, welcoming spaces, unfortunately, I think we lose a tiny fraction of self-protection. Because in being open to, certain groups of people, we unfortunately therefore open ourselves up too much to the negative actors within those groups. So, for instance, in trying not to appear to be misogynistic, we oughtn't allow Ana Kasparian to get away with what she's getting away with, which isn't just financially corrupt, because of course they've taken the Peter Thiel poly market fucking money, but is also inherently like just horrifically transphobic, right? Like she seems to want to mince criminals into a fine paste and feed it to other criminals who then get minced ad infinitum. It's going on about how Donald Trump isn't that bad. People are overreacting. It's the left that are really anti-Semitic. All of this shit. And we allow that into our space if we don't keep them at arm's length. Yeah, wreckers. Wreckers is like the old British phrase. I don't know if that translates in America. But essentially, it's wreckers. You allow wreckers in. So as much as we want an open space, we also actually want a genuinely safe space. And one of those elements of creating a safe space is keeping evil actors out. If that makes sense. Anyway, apologies to the Raiders. Hey, hello, Hannah. Hannah Reloaded. Everyone go and follow Hannah Reloaded on twitch.tv/Hannah Reloaded. They are good people. Welcome in. Hello there, Raiders. I'm Kevin Logan. I'm a Leftoid from the UK. We do exist, I promise. You can hit the follow button. It's free, and you can always change your mind. Wreckers is a term in the US socialist spaces too, I think. Well, no offence, Duck Authority, but I don't need your I think. I need Americans to tell me. Because I think it probably does as well, but I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, yes, we're currently doing Slop. Hannah's channel is far more cerebral than mine at the best of times, but today especially, because we're just doing Slop. It's just wall-to-wall Slop. There's nothing of any worth or lasting impact, really. It's just, oh, these two people are saying bad things about each other. Let's watch and totally not enjoy it. You can hit the follow button. I don't know morally you should, but you can.
That we do media critique, and that's what it always boils down to, right? This guy is like, I don't like talking about drama. I don't like talking about people on all sides, right? It's like, yeah, well,
that's the whoa, we've just been microaggressed. Chat, the British have been racismed today. There's no need for your hateful bigotry. Okay? The British are the ultimate oppressed minority. We are, okay? And anyone who says otherwise can shut the fuck up.
I do. So, you can cry about it.
But at the same time, of course, not that I've read it recently, there's probably comments in there saying pretty terrible stuff about Ana, and that's something you just cannot stop when you're making a video on someone. But also, I would feel really icky if I just kept making videos on Ana Kasparian, because it comes to a point of like, why are you even doing this in the first place? Now, again, I'm not...
The reason we're doing...
Also, it's such a... Look, the thing is, right, you can make a nuanced point about not playing into misogynist tropes whilst criticising a female content creator. Sorry, femoid content creator. But your criticism gets somewhat lost, I think. And I mean this genuinely in good faith. When you just go, I would feel really icky if I did 30 videos. Well, like, ultimately, who gives a fuck? Like, why should any other content creator care that you feel icky about a thing? Well, if you don't want to do it, don't. That's fine. But ultimately, it's not a criticism. It's just a personal preference at that point. In which case, like I said, who gives a fuck? Look, it's just not an argument, you know? It's just not. You can criticise a woman without being misogynistic. Absolutely. I know this all too well. And I don't want to be like... I don't want to be bigging myself up too much. But as a person in the online space and a male, very much a manly man. Yeah, my Y chromosome is possibly there. I don't know. I haven't had it checked. And it doesn't matter because your fucking chromosomes don't define your fucking gender. It's a lot of bollocks. Anyway, as a man, in the online creation space for a hell of a long time, by internet standards, I've been around like 10 years or something now. And having literally gotten my start criticising misogyny, like literally, I think I'm relatively well versed in spotting it. Like, if there is a person in this field, as it were, who is better placed than I to spot that kind of thing, from men, that is, because obviously I think women probably have a fine-tuned, radar for it. But as a man critiquing male content creators, I don't think there's anyone better placed than me to do that. And I genuinely don't get the impression, having watched just unspeakable hours of actually misogynist content, right? I went through all of the Gamergate shit, and my entire start was literally critiquing misogynist shit on the internet. I've never gotten the impression from the Vanguard that that's what they were or what they were about. Now, that's even during the scope of the time when they were, Jimmy Dore pilled. I think they were more, there's a certain type of leftist who literally would watch the world burn just to watch liberals and laugh at them. You know, that sort of thing. Literally, like, their only substantive issue, or like, it's not even substantive, their only cause in life is literally to just go, ha ha ha, liberals, fuck you, you're unhappy about whatever this situation is. That's it. Well, the kind of people that they would be more offended if you called them liberal than if you called them fascist. Right? That sort of thing. And they were that. I don't think they bought into the misogyny particularly. I don't necessarily think they bought into the racism particularly. I think it was the Dems are bad, so everything that opposes the Dems is worth looking into type thing. And so they went with the Jimmy Dore crowd for a bit. And then realised, oh shit, he's just pumping out far-right nonsense. And then rode back to like this much more reasonable position, although still a very combative position. But they're a lot better than they were, certainly. Apparently, Mussolini was the first to use the term fascism. I think that's true. Yes. Yeah. It literally derives from the fascis, the sticks to create with a axe handle to create an axe, which would be placed above legal institutions in ancient Rome to signify the power of the Roman state. in that building for people who couldn't read and write, you know? Yeah. And actually, you may know this, or you may not know this, that in the US Congress building, fascist, is that how you spell it? I can't fucking remember. Images. There are bronze images of the fascists behind the speaker's chair in the US Congress. In the House chamber, to be specific, I'm being told there. Anyway, there you go. Which were placed there before fascism became a thing, to be fair. But having fascism having done a thing, maybe take them down at this point, I think. Yeah, that's bad, actually. That's bad. Maybe don't do that. Like, in theory, it should be fine for you to put swastikas everywhere, because they're an ancient Buddhist symbol. But we don't.
It is because it's working!
Oh yeah, we mentioned Mussolini, so get your 707s in chat, everyone. Because there's nothing better than an upside-down fascist.
It's working! It's working, bro. We've been doing this since way before you caught on that TYT was selling out. We have now, from my fucking house, almost taken down a 6 million sub network that was using the name of progressivism to...
I don't know that you can say that you've taken them down. Not that you've not played a part at all in that. I'm sure you absolutely have. But, like, they've been on the slide for a long time. And the reason they've, I think, done this pivot now is because they realised they were coming towards the end of their potential usefulness and they're cashing out. They've taken the polymarket pound, dollar I suppose technically, but it's not alliterative, so go fuck yourself. They've taken the polymarket populist money now because they can play the useful idiot role, right? So I think I've described this before. What fascists need is not to have opposition, or not to have very strong opposition, because they're going to provide very strong push in one direction. What they need is to not have anything similar coming back the other way. Otherwise they get checkmated and don't do anything, don't go anywhere. And what they need is their opponents to be weakest, or weaker than them. So what they want from someone like TYT is not for them to become like Fox News, because they're not going to be like Fox News. That's not going to achieve anything. What they need is for them to reach out into liberal spaces and leftist spaces and just tell them to just calm down a bit. Just, you're overreacting, guys. Trump isn't that bad, actually. And so within that, they can still do criticisms of Trump, because again, they're not trying to make Ana Kasparian absolutely pro-Trump in every way, because that wouldn't really be believable to anybody. Not that she's currently that believable to anybody, but she is to some, because some people are fucking idiots, clearly. Pardon me. But what they need is for her and Cenk Uygur and, you know, various other quote-unquote leftists, I would say ex-leftists, but whatever, leftists to reach out into that space and just shut the left up a little bit. So that rather than having a big spate of Tesla burnings, not that I'm suggesting we should do that, because of course that's a crime and crimes are always bad, but rather than having like a big spate of that which would potentially push back on the power of this fascist government, you maybe only have one or two of it, and then you get some shit libs going, it's terrorism, it's fine, don't do that. Or rather than having sit-ins where you protect immigrant families from deportations, where you literally get an all-out like local thing. Which, I mean, there was a great example of this in Glasgow, if I can find it, a couple of years ago now, I think, when the Tories are rounding up immigrant. What's the word I'm looking for? Not sit-in, like flash mob, I guess. I don't know. No, that's not. No, immigrant protection, something like that. Here we go. Right. So, the immigration police were going to go and raid this local area and the entire town basically turned up and blocked the fucking car and said, no, you're not taking these fucking people. That's not happening. And so even though the police, look how mob-handed they are. Look how many fucking police there are. And the town went, no, you're not fucking having them, you cunts. You're not having them. We're not fucking moving. Let them go. So even though they had them in the police van, they had to release them in the end. Because there was basically, like I say, a kind of anti-fascist flash mob that went, no, you're not taking them. We're going to block the fucking road. No chance. So what they need from people like Ana Kasparian is to stop this from happening. Is to tear down any possibility of genuine civil disobedience, to say, no, fuck you, we're not allowing you to do your fascism, you cunts. Because ultimately, just pointing out that Donald Trump is doing things that are against the Constitution doesn't mean anything when the courts are all in his fucking pocket, when he's literally got a 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court. So it doesn't matter if it's fucking unconstitutional, because he'll still be able to get away with it. In every fascist uprising, Mussolini being a great example, Mussolini literally marched marched on Rome, but then marched into the Senate chamber in Rome and said, I forget the exact words he used, but he said something like, I put it to you, gentlemen, which one of you is going to stop me? And nobody spoke up. Nobody said a fucking thing. Right? And he got away with it. At every point in fascism, there is a point at which it comes to the fascist saying, who is going to fucking stop me? Who is going to actually step in? And if no one does, it just goes exactly as we know it's going to go. We've already seen inklings of it so far. He's rounding up random people in the street and fucking them off to El Salvador. You know. So at what point do you do something like this and say, no, we're not fucking taking this bullshit? And that's what the role Ana Kasparian plays, is ensuring that the left don't stand up. That the left don't answer that challenge. That they don't step in at the side. For fuck's sake, that they don't step in at the sounding of that horn. To use a slightly poetic phrase that I've nicked from somewhere, I'm sure. Source, I was there. Hang on, what's this? So non-binary says, the actual story is way better. So the guy riding down the road, and he was on his bike and he saw that what was happening, and he literally jumped off his bike, jumped under the van, and used his bike lock to chain himself to the axle of the van and waited until the community could rally to stop this shit. Oh, that's fucking dope, non-binary. And reminds everybody that individual action can be massively important. Whilst we oughtn't fall into the stupid trap of the great man of history theory, one person can have a massive impact. One person can genuinely change the course of things. People forget this, like the storming of the Bastille, right? A mass event. The people of Paris rise up, and actually didn't really achieve a great deal because there were like 8 people in prison there. But the point was, they took on the power of the state and fucking defeated them and set off a chain of history that they couldn't possibly have imagined. Anyway, they were locked out. They were locked out of the Bastille for ages because the person who had the keys went home. So someone had to like shimmy up. An individual person had to take the risk of shimmying up a drain pipe and getting in and unlocking it from the inside and letting them all in. That one person risked their lives, because it was quite a fucking high thing and a dodgy, manoeuvre. If he'd fallen, he'd be fucking dead. Changed the course of human history. In, again, ways that he could not possibly have imagined. And that's important. Or maybe it was 15 in the Bastille, I can't remember. One thing I do know about the Bastille, by the way, was one of the people who would have been in the Bastille but was taken away a couple of weeks before was the Marquis de Sade. who was transported because he was shouting sexually abusive messages out of his cell window using a drain pipe that he'd broken off as like to elevate his voice or to echo his voice at passers-by. So they transferred him to a different prison. History's fun. Yeah, absolute fucking mad lad.
Lead people to the right, to launder the reputation of fascists, to lead people astray. And guess what? I'm not going to bite my tongue because
The 255 of his era. True.
say they're progressives, and all my progressives do. Hot chop. Let's have a couple of cold brewskis and pretend we don't disagree about it.
More racism. More racism. Can you believe it? Can you believe it, chat? I'm being racism left, right, and centre.
Nothing, huh? Like, that's not how I roll, okay? I am a media critic, okay? So I make my living criticizing media, okay? The fact that your whole beef is that I opened my mouth about somebody who has a D next to their name instead of an R next to their name lets me know that this is an irrelevant criticism. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting too much, but this is...
Also, like, you know, I think, you know, he starts by saying, I had respect for Ana Kasparian. I don't understand why they're making so many videos about her. Well, do you not watch the videos, bro? Like, because we talk about it constantly, why we make the videos and why it's relevant to talk about. We constantly address that. And part of the reason is because of Anna's ideological evolution. I also used to have respect for Ana. Of course you did too. Of course we all did. That's the point, bro. That's why it makes this such an interesting case study, specifically because she spent so much time talking about Dave Rubin and his ideological evolution and calling out
Oh,
Jimmy
I'm changing that fucking sound alert. Absolute cuntbaggery. Fuck's sake. Ah! Honestly, it's taken years off my life, that fucking sound alert. I actually need to change it. I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore! Fucking hell. Right, what we got? Niall says, your man who shot Archduke Ferdinand the First... Oh, sorry, Archduke Ferdinand, I bet he had no idea what he unleashed on the world. Well, thank you for the message. To be fair, and the man you're looking for there is Gavrilo Princip, but it doesn't matter. To be fair, I think he kind of did. Now, there's no way he could have known about the First World War, because for a start off, industrialised warfare was like brand new. Literally, the tank wasn't yet invented. The aeroplane was, but hadn't really been used in warfare particularly. So there's no way he could have known the true scale of what he'd unleashed upon the world. But part of why he did what he did was because he wanted to start a broader war. Because he was a Serbian nationalist. So he wanted Serbia to, you know, to basically run the Balkans, in essence, as the dominant force. And he felt like that was the way to do that. Was to bring on this larger war, bring down the Habsburg monarchy, end the Austro-Hungarian Empire, which definitely did happen, and bring about Serbian supremacy. So, like, he definitely sort of did understand, to some extent, what he was doing. But I think, it's a sort of fascinating what-if of time travel. If you could go back in time and tell Gavrilo Princip and his the Black Hand gang, they were called, tell them the thing they were about to unleash, whether they would still have been okay with it. Because obviously their goal was to, you know, Serbian independence and supremacy and blah, blah, blah. Would they have been okay with that? Would they have still gone through with it, knowing the ramifications of their actions? And I'm not sure, in all honesty. They were pretty driven, pretty crazy young men. Clearly prepared to die for their shit. Literally, Princip tried to commit suicide. After having exploded the Archduke, he jumped into the fucking river and took poison. Neither of which killed him. They dredged him out and he died of... Was it TB or something? Waiting in prison? Yeah. A mad cunt. If Kev's grandpa was just a tiny bit less lucky, this stream would be in German. Or, Vogel, if your grandpa had fought a little bit harder. I'm just saying. It's a two-way street, motherfuckers. Maybe if your grandpa and great-grandpa hadn't been such fucking pussies, you'd have invaded Britain, taken over, and I'd be speaking German. But you know, well, you know, I'm just putting it out there. Don't shoot the messenger. Fuck me dead.
Door for his ideological evolution, his pivot to the right. You know, it's all in this context, and it's constantly discussed.
Calling out these people like some sort of active misogynist.
I just called your fucking forebears pussies, and you have given me money for it. That's got to be a kink. This is a humiliation kink you've got going on, isn't it? Do I need to be more racist towards you? Is that it? That I need to be more racist and I'll get more money? Is that how it works? It's certainly how it works on the YouTube algorithm. So, you know. Thank you, Vogel, for gifting us up.
And that's the Vanguard. And if you type in that Vanguard, Ana Kasparian, they've made loads of videos on her, especially as she has reacted more to them. So as they've made more videos on her, she's commented on these videos and they've made more videos on that. And it's just like a self-perpetuating cycle of they say something about her, she doesn't like
It's really breaking news.
then she reacts, they keep making videos. And the narrative they have with this right now is that it's just basically making her more insane. Now, I'm not going to go through...
And I like how he doesn't actually address...
Hang on, how is it making her more insane? I'm not sure that makes sense. I'm not sure that you criticising her makes her more insane. Again, it's sort of the is it a Boers comic? I'm not sure. The thing about the guy who's like, I don't want to become a Nazi, but you're really forcing me to. You know, I hate to do it. And he starts shaving his head and he gets a swastika tattoo, all of that shit, right? Like, me being even mean to Ana Kasparian shouldn't make her, like, start talking about criminals as if they need to all be fucking killed instantly. And that the homeless need to become fucking Soylent Greened. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so pathetic. It's so pathetic that when former leftists, I didn't leave the left left me, shit, right? Those fucking grifting wankers, like Ana Kasparian, will do that dumb shit of saying like, oh, well, the left were mean to me, or the left said the left said bonus hole or birthing person. Like, motherfucker, in order to be a leftist, part of the remit is that you're annoyed by other leftists every fucking day. Every day you see some dumb shit from a leftist. Because you know what? There are dumb motherfuckers on every side. It's absolutely true that there are rightists who are annoyed by other rightists every day too. And centrists who are, well, centrists don't really look at things. But people are annoyed by people who agree with them about lots of stuff in loads of ways. Because there are different types of people. And some of them are fucking mental. Right? That's just the way it works. If you can't put up with it, fuck off. Just go and live in the fucking woods with the bears, who again are not friends. They look like friends, they are not friends. They will fucking eat you, right? It's a shame. They need to get book their ideas up, but you know. Anyway, just fuck off and live in the wilderness. Go and live in a fucking cave or a hut or whatever, right? The left are going to be annoying. That shouldn't change your entire economic outlook or what you think about LGBTQIA plus rights, or whether, I don't know, the government doing a fascism is a bad idea or not. The fuck? It's so irritating. It's pathetic. It's not just intellectual weakness, it's like moral weakness. There's something wrong at the core of who you are. Anyway. Where was I? Apologies. Oh, hello, Lesbian Hot Sauce. Everyone go and follow Lesbian Hot Sauce immediately. Because they're fucking cool.
The nature of her comments. He just says, well, she makes a comment, then they do a video on it, and then she comments on that video, and then they do another video upon it. But it's like, it's not like...
So if a woman felt that content was misogynistic, she should go and live in the forest with bears, okay? No, Becca, that is not at all what I've said, and that's not what I believe. Ana Kasparian has received misogynist fuck's sake. My voice is just... My face isn't working tonight, apologies. Ana Kasparian has received misogynist responses from people. She's received misogynist abuse. That's true. But her criticism of everybody is that it's all misogyny. Except, of course, Jimmy Dore, who she now thinks isn't a misogynist and may have been right all along, or some shit. Nice news skirt, Anna, etc. It's a grift. She doesn't actually think that the majority of this is misogynist. It's just she's using liberal ID poll to get around this in a way that, unfortunately, I think the Kavernacle is playing into a little bit. She's using liberal id poll as a shield to hide her nefarious, grifting bullshit behind. That's all that's taking place here. Some of it is misogynist, and she can use examples of that, but most of it is not. But she'll still say that it's misogynist. That's what I mean. If the left just criticising you is enough for you to become a right-winger, you were never really on the left to begin with. You were just vibesy libbing. And that's essentially what she's outed herself as having been, I think, over the course of time. Is just vibesy and shit.
Like she's just saying anything. It's not like she's just talking about the kind of tea she drank for breakfast or what she had for lunch or some shit like that. It's not like we're just attacking her over nothing. Let's actually examine some of the comments and question. The last one we did a video on was her threatening to nuke our channel, and not just our channel, but any smaller YouTube channel that criticizes the Young Turks by reacting to members-only content from their bonus episode, which, by the way, constantly also gets posted on their main channel.
You know, the really cool leftist thing that leftists do by invoking copyright law to silence people from criticising them.
Lesbians donated $3.
Well, thank you to all lesbians. I presume that was the collective. All lesbians got together and donated. And I appreciate that, lesbians. Thank you. Kevin Logan, friend of the lesbians. I don't really care what Anna thinks because I don't watch her at all. I do think misogynist content and clickbait makes online spaces unpleasant for some women, which you know. Yeah, that's true. I think that's absolutely true, Becca. Check the message. What? Check what message? What message am I checking, non-binary? There was a message with the dono. Was there? I forgot. I've got to sign into fucking PayPal then. Oh no. Which means I'm going to get a fucking text, aren't I? Because it always. Why does it ask? Oh, fuck's sake. Anyway, right. So I get a text. This better be the best message ever. I swear to God. Right. Kev is indeed known as being quite the erudite. Okay. I mean, I'll let that be. Lol boomer. Suck my dick. Well, thank you to that person. Is there a message with that? I don't see a message. Just type it again. I don't know. I don't see a message with it. So you're gonna have to type it again, and I'll just fucking read it out.
Where are my lesbians? Where are my lesbians?
Where are my lesbians? That's a very good question. It was that. It was literally, where are my lesbians? You know, I think I'm actually going to go and play Roblox. I think I'm actually going to go play Roblox in the street with knives.
That's the sort of commentary we're reacting to. Not just threats against our fucking livelihood and our channel, but also smears of our friends and colleagues. Literally people we've had on this show multiple times. People like Lance, who was just on. People like Emma Vigeland, who was just on last month. Anna has been lying about these people.
Oh shit, did you not know that lesbian hot sauce? That's fair enough. Actually, it is quite a niche thing. I forget that I'm the freak. Yeah, today I found out that the term Young Turks has genocidal origins. It was a party who did a genocide and are credited for inventing the use of accusing from the mirror. Yeah, literally true. And of course, not only that, but he used to. I think he has definitely now changed his mind. But Cenk Uygur, being a slightly weird Turkish nationalist guy back in the day, literally denied the Armenian genocide that was done by the Young Turks, the original political movement in Turkey. Yeah. Took quite a lot of criticism from people of his position on that for him to eventually go, no, that did happen actually. No, the Turkish peoples there did slaughter a lot of Armenian Christians actually. That was actually a bad thing. Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Lord Fruitus, for gifting a sub to Lesbian Hot Sauce and gifting a sub to not Sorry Girl, Story Girl. No, I genuinely, for a living, I talk, I communicate verbally with an audience, and that is something that I'm clearly struggling with tonight in a really basic and fundamental way. I have fucked up very, very easy sentences tonight. Nothing crazy, nothing like, I'm not reading out some fucking mathematical fucking jizz wizardry. I'm just trying to say normal fucking sentences and bollocksing it up regularly. Which is worrying. I wonder if I've got fucking brain damage from the car accident that hasn't been noticed. How would you notice?
People who, again, are our friends, but more importantly than that, are our ideological allies in this fight against Donald Trump, MAGA, the establishment of the Democratic Party, neoliberalism, and fascism. So yeah, I have a beef with you if you're lying about those people, smearing their reputations and degrading the legitimacy of their very sound arguments as you simultaneously hype up the right.
Yes, I think the name Ana Kasparian gives away that they are of Armenian descent, yes. That is a very Armenian name.
Right-wing bad faith actors.
Yeah, exactly. It is the necessity of liberal media critique, left media critique, right? And I guarantee you this guy doesn't give a fuck if you go and spend all day long talking about Tim Pool. I don't think he would care if you spent all day reacting to Dave Rubin videos.
This is how I know that they didn't watch the full video. This is how I know. Because they're saying, I bet he wouldn't have a problem. Earlier in the video, because most of the video isn't even about them, it's about like this, about the fucking SS Sniper Wolf person and fucking dickheads, right? He literally says, I wouldn't have a problem if you just had a channel that did nothing but react to Ben Shapiro videos. That's the example that the Kavernacle himself gives. He says that would be fine. There would be no problem with just reacting to Ben Shapiro videos and, you know, tearing him down and owning him in the marketplace of ideas, right? So they clearly didn't watch the first 40 minutes of the video, which is fine. Like, that's okay, I guess. If all you wanted to do was react to the bit you were mentioned in, cool. But, like, you know. I love Emma Vigeland. I think we all love Emma Vigeland. Anyone, look, she's a really great litmus test. If you have a problem with Emma Vigeland, you're almost certainly, like, a dreadful person. Like, you can disagree with her politics to an extent, right? And I'm sure lots of people do. But if you think she's a bad person, if you genuinely, like, don't like her, you're probably, like, fucking vermin, I think, to be honest.
Making hundreds of videos about Joe Rogan or Ben Shapiro or
Anna hates her. I rest my fucking case.
or any of these other loud, obnoxious commentators on the right who do nothing but spew vile bigotry basically all day long, nonstop, right? Well, guess what, guys? Sometimes people on the left decide they want to get in on that gravy train too. And then we, as people who follow left-wing politics, who listen to all of these, you know, contributors, these people who make content for a living, who have a direct, at least professional relationship with people like Emma Vigeland, like Lance from the Surfs, like you mentioned, but also other people like, you know, Hank, who was a guy that was working for TYT that's now making a documentary about how they busted his union. Okay, did you do any
Yeah, winners and losers. Everyone go and follow them. They're fucking awesome.
commentary about.
They occasionally pop in. And they're fucking dope. Talking of occasionally popping in, everyone go and follow My Left Eye, who popped in earlier on the YouTubes. They're also good people.
About that? No, of course not, because you're too busy trying to be like, oh my God, we can only talk about the Republicans over here. Don't you know that's improper manners, my good guy?
Racism, just straight up. When will you free my people, Pharaoh? That wasn't racist. That was fine.
And it's like, bro, we're allowed to talk about whoever we want. And, you know, we were reacting to that Bill Burr clip the other day, talking about how, you know, the left is killing any real resistance to Donald Trump and Elon Musk because they can't get out of their own fucking way. You know what I mean? Like, they went too far, it pissing people off, and now nobody wants anything to do with them. It's like, we have to learn from that, right? You can't just pearl clutch. You can't just be like, oh, you can only talk about things the way I want you to talk about them, right?
Yeah, you know what? I'm very much getting onto the dark MAGA train, I think. Not dark MAGA, dark woke train. See, I can't fucking speak tonight. Don't clip that. Don't clip it that I'm on the dark fucking gothic MAGA train with fucking Elon. The fucking mental hype, fucking try-hard prick. The kind of the dark woke people, you know, like we need to be a bit more in your fucking face about shit. You know? No, not dark MAGA. I can't speak tonight. I can't speak! To quote the great Wayne Mardell. That's such a great... It's such a great leg of darts and such an awful piece of commentary to follow. It's like the best of humanity and the worst. Well, not the worst of humanity. The worst of creative humanity, whatever, you know. Dark woke. There are some people who are like... Basically, it's a kind of reaction to overly wokeness. Not that wokeness is really a thing, of course. But, like, maybe but essentially what I've been doing for years is sort of dark woke, in the sense that it's, like, left-wing politics, but I'm not interested in not offending, necessarily. Like, I don't go out of my way to, and I try to be accepting and create a safe space for people who need that safe space to be created. But, like, in general, if you're Tim Pool, I'm going to call you a massive baldy cunt, because that is what you are. I'm not going to fucking beat around the bush and go, well, there might be some bald people in chat who might be offended. I don't give... Look, you know it's not aimed at you. You know you're not a fucking problem. I don't see you as lesser. I'm just mocking the guy. So, like, you can choose to be offended by that, or you can choose to grow the fuck up, I suppose. Like... That's sort of just the way it has to be. Sorry.
This guy wants to portray us as like a bunch of misogynist antagonists, and that's fine. We can beat that case. We can beat that allegation.
Yeah, it's like Dark Brandon, but without the genocide. Because he did a genocide. Yeah.
Do you know what we're about? I was raised by women, okay? All the best people I know are women. All the people I admire most in the world are women.
Don't do the... No. Vanguard, you can't... No, I'm not allowing this shit. I can't be misogynist. Some of my best mums were women. Like, no, I'm not having it. It doesn't work when rightists do it. I can't be racist. Some of my best friends are black, right? Or oh my God, did you see the Elon Musk's dad one? Do I have that bookmarked? He had an amazing one. Here we go. Right. So, on the line of I can't be racist. Some of my best friends are black. Right. Elon Musk's dad, who's also a massive racist and a breeding kink obsessive, said, Elon Musk, the father of Tesla CEO Elon Musk, believes that his son can't be racist due to his past relationships with black servants who worked for the family in apartheid South Africa. I can't be racist. Some of my best slaves were black. You're not helping, Errol. I'll be honest with you, mate. You're not helping. You're not making it better. Absolute fucking mad cunt. Also, he groomed his stepdaughter from the age of 4 and then had 2 kids with her because he's a disgusting, creepy bastard. Just like his son. The apple does not always fall far from the tree.
Women, right? Pretty much in real life. You know what I mean? Besides Gavin. And, you know, I just don't have that in my heart. So I just don't really take it as a sincere criticism.
Yeah, well, let's let him make the case against us, before we respond.
Oh, you fucking... I'm very much getting onto the dark MAGA train, I think. You cunts, I knew you'd clip it. I knew you'd fucking clip it. Absolute pricks, a lot of you. I specifically requested not to clip it. Yeah, you know what, I'm very much getting onto the dark MAGA train, I think. Not dark MAGA, dark woke train. See, I can't fucking speak tonight. Don't clip that. See, I specifically requested that, and you did the opposite of the thing that I specifically requested in the clip. You monsters. You fucking monsters. Honestly. I'm being... you know what I'm going to say? I'm being racismed by my own audience. You're being racist against me for being stupid and shit at talking. And that is a race, so... Lethal Weapon 2, South African embassy scene, very funny. Okay, well, I'm probably going to get copyright fucked, but let's go. Oh, fuck's sake.
Mr. Jones?
Right.
Sit down, please. Well, what can I do for you today?
Okay, I have this problem, this very delicate matter. I have a friend of mine who wants to immigrate to South Africa.
Yes, of course. I can certainly help him do that.
Oh, sure. But I want you to talk him out of it.
Talk him out of it?
Yeah.
Whatever for?
Well, you see, this is such a bad time for him to go to South Africa. I mean, with all the trouble and everything, okay?
Oh, look, why don't you ask your friend to come back later in the week? We can sit down.
No, he's here. He's here.
He's here?
Yeah, he's here now.
Where?
Alphonse. Alphonse.
How you doing?
Why have I never seen this before? This is amazing. I wasn't expecting Danny fucking Glover to walk around the corner. That's genius.
I think there must be some mistake.
Say what?
Sir, listen to your friend here. He knows what he's talking about. I don't think you really want to go to South Africa.
Why not?
Because you're black.
You are. He is.
Of course I'm black. That's why I want to go to South Africa. To join up with my oppressed brothers. To take up the struggle against the tyranny of the racist, fascist, white minority regime.
Fascist white regime.
One man, one vote?
One man, one vote.
Free South Africa, you dumb son of a bitch!
Dumb son of a bitch.
Look, I've heard just about as much as I want to. I'm going to ask both of you.
Hey, just look here. Hey, what's happening here? Hey, back off. Take it.
Well, I concur. Thoroughly. It's because you blick. Blick. Imagine being racist against a group of people and you can't even say the name properly. You blick. Blick.
To it, because you have yet to be confronted with the evidence that, in fact, Zach, you are a sexist. Here we go.
Through their comment section, and I don't know how much they moderate it, but if you want to, for yourself, go on one of these videos and look how far you have to scroll to see the word calling her Ana Kasparian or just calling her a Karen or something like that. And like I said,
yeah, but to be fair, she is like the carrioniest person. She wants to speak to the manager of crime and homelessness and have this riffraff away from her, please. Like, if there were a person that you could design to describe the Karen, it would be Ana Kasparian. Like, fact. Other than the haircut, which is not quite the Karen haircut. Like, she is Karen. Not a Karen, the Karen.
I don't think Karen...
And Kasparian kind of sounds a bit like Karen, so it works as a pun. Like, yeah.
...is inherently misogynistic, but they are, even with their thumbnails, playing into this framing that Ana is some unstable, emotional woman who is...
Yeah, she is.
She is. She is. And the reason why-
Okay, we're all misogynists. We are, clearly. No, she is. Yeah, she's a fucking idiot. Like, she is. She is that. Her and Nancy Grace, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, she's had a year-long meltdown because of the word birthing person. She's mentioned the phrase bonus hole more than any other human being on the planet. Like, yeah, she's a Karen. What more do you fucking want?
People are calling her a Karen in our comment section is because she's a fucking Karen. You know what Karens do? They try to call the manager. You know what Ana Kasparian just did? Tried to call the manager on us. Literally. She threatened to get YouTube involved and copyright strike us into...
Kev, have you seen that Elon's kid says part of the reason he disowned her for being trans is he paid for all of the Invertero kids to be male? Is that true? Does he not have daughters then? Well, I mean, he has a trans daughter. Does he not have any cis daughters? I didn't know that. Okay. Maybe he just wanted a football team. You can't have an intergender football team, so you've got to have 11 plus substitutes, so like 16 different... That's fucking mental. He's a genuinely unwell human being. There's something fucking wrong with the guy.
Oblivion as a YouTube channel for reacting to TYT content, even under the guidelines of fair use because it was members only, but honestly, really because we were being critical.
Someone mentioned, actually, I did read from the part of the article that the Elon Musk's like now. I don't even know what to call them. What's their relationship? I mean, I suppose they're still technically father and daughter, right? But where is it? There was an article with like with them. Here we go. That's it. Boom. So she gave an interview with it, and her name's Vivian Wilson, by the way. And the questioner asked, do you ever feel scared? He's the richest man in the world. To which Vivian responds, he's a pathetic man-child. Why would I feel scared of him? Oh, he has so much power. Nah. I don't give a fuck. Why should I be scared of this man? Because he's rich? Oh no, I'm trembling. Oh, shivering in my boots here. I don't give a fuck how much money anyone has. I don't. I really don't. He owns Twitter. Okay, congratulations. People thrive off of fear. I'm not giving anyone that space in my mind. The only thing that gets to live rent-free in my mind are drag queens. Mic drop. Honestly, we fucking stan. I don't know anything else about this person. We stan. 100% unequivocal queen shit.
Critical of it. She's a fucking Karen. And yes, she's also currently emotionally unstable. And that is manifesting in her unhinged behavior on air and her bullshit right-wing commentary. That's the reality of the situation. Sorry that we're recognizing it.
Who's being triggered because the Vanguard are making such excellent arguments countering all her transphobia or right-wing or more conservative talking points now in regards to like immigration or crime and stuff. The thing is, if Ana Kasparian is going crazy from this criticism, a lot of it is not to do with the criticism. It's to do with the over-focus on her talking points and all the comments all saying stuff about her. Because 100%, just like with myself, there's going to be so many comments in there which have misinterpreted what Ana said or took it in bad faith or didn't even really listen to what she was saying.
So what?
They're going to be spreading rumors about her, making her seem...
Well, I mean, I don't think you can say so what. That's not cool. I think there are genuine, like... I'm not going to lose any sleep over people being bad faith towards Ana Kasparian, but I think when someone points out that people are being bad faith or misogynistic or whatever, just saying "so what" doesn't help your case, I don't think. Like, I don't mind people being mean to her specifically. I probably have been quite mean myself, but it's when it becomes like misogynist rather than specific to her or whatever that there's an issue. And unfortunately, you can't even really control it because the algorithm will push people who like anti-women content into stuff that criticizes women even if it's not misogynist. And so you're naturally going to end up with an audience that you can't always completely control. Well, I say control sounds bad. Like I'm not trying to control each individual person. I allow people a fair amount of leverage in the chat, for instance. But like, I don't want there to be like evil bastards in my community, right? Yeah. So I don't want there to be evil people in the audience. I mean, you can't always help who's watching, or even commenting, and you don't know what's inside their head either. But just saying "so what" I don't think is like, frankly, the acceptable response. But whatever. I don't think it's the end of the fucking world. But yeah. What's this? Important correction. Not because they give a shit about Elon, but I give a shit about accuracy. So Elon has 2 biological daughters that he knows about and a trans daughter. Okay. He probably has more, but he just doesn't know.
That she is worse than she really is. Now, again, these guys who make these videos, they probably don't see it this way. And I've heard them actually say this. They say, it's fair game, it's YouTube. This is how YouTube works. You make call-out videos on each other. That's how it's always been. And TYT have done it themselves. And yes, of course, TYT also have these main characters. But also you have to realise sometimes the power dynamics. So to the Vanguard, they're...
Yeah, how the fuck is this legal? Elon Musk's daughter Vivian Wilson has accused the tech billionaire of allegedly using sex-selective IVF for his kids. So literally every single fucking thing, right? Every single thing that the right-wing morons try to warn you about from the left, from George Soros, a billionaire's trying to buy your government. He just bought your government. George Soros wants to put chips in your head. Elon Musk literally wants to put chips in your head. The left want to play God. That's why they want to do abortion. They want to play God. All of this in vitro fertilization. They're trying to overtake God. He's literally trying to play God. He literally wants to have control over the gender of the child that's born. He's literally the Antichrist they made up about the left. And they've just, essentially allowed him to buy the federal government. He's a fucking psychopath.
Thinking.
No, he's not. That lets him off the hook. He's a sociopath. He's an evil sociopath.
The power dynamic concept. That's the most. This guy is so. He's trying so hard to be sophisticated and smart, but he has no argument against us other than the fact that, like, I'm a good liberal and lefty, and these guys are unserious because they make jokes, they crack jokes, and they call themselves Silly and Billy. Bro, we call ourselves Silly and Billy. Okay, they have 6 million subscribers. You have over double the amount of subscribers that we have, and you're still out here pearl clutching for Anna, 6 million subscriber, okay? And you're also acting like we send Anna email.
True, but like, to be fair, they have 6 million subscribers, but most of those people don't watch, you know? Like, I know, in theory, 6 million sounds a lot, but like, what are the views that are being garnered on TYT videos nowadays? I can't imagine it's fucking exorbitant. 3.8 thousand. Hang on, let's actually go on to the channel. So, let's go from 15 hours ago, right? So you got 8,500. These are members only, whatever. 32,000, 11,000, 13, 32, 19, 16, 58, 17, 43, 51. So basically, the highest they've got is what, 50 odd thousand? They effectively, even though that number there says 6.07 million subscribers, they don't functionally have anywhere near that amount of subscribers, really. They really don't. Now, I don't think that plays into at all, really, the power dynamic narrative that Kavernacle is using, and I don't think it means that you shouldn't criticise Ana Kasparian because her views are shit. Her views are shit because she's completely stabbed in the back the audience that they've garnered over the course of years. That's why. So it's not a matter of a power dynamic, because that's bollocks. Like, you probably get roughly the same number of views as they do, I imagine, right? Let's have a look at the Vanguard's numbers.
Emails, like, we follow her.
15, 17, 67, 22, 64, 56, 24, 61, 32. So yeah, they're probably getting on average slightly more, but really slightly more. It's in the same ballpark. It's in the same ballpark. So there isn't really a power dynamic issue. And of course, even though the views are the same, or view counts are roughly the same, Anna's still a bigger figure. Ana can still go on like fucking CNN or Fox or whatever. Ana can be interviewed by Benja Bebos or fucking Glenn Beck or whoever, right? Those people. In a way that the Vanguard probably could, that would be like out of their league in terms of pull or whatever. But the point being that there clearly isn't a power dynamic thing. And I think for Kavernacle to bring that up is sort of dumb, really. It comes across as just tone policing and concern trolling. Well, that's why I said, Sean, that's why I said at the start, I think it's kind of a bit woke scoldy. And again, I really don't like that phrase, but I don't know what else to call it. It's a little bit scoldy, scolderino, you know? Which is not cool.
Home from work, like, we're antagonizing her constantly. Like, you don't get to make a living broadcasting your thoughts and then being free of other people's responses to those thoughts, right? Like, the same way that you're allowed to make this video about us and we're allowed to respond to it, and I would never ever say I'm gonna nuke your channel because you tried to make, like, that's stupid, right? That would be ridiculous. But like that, it is how YouTube works. That is the ecosystem that you're functioning on, and this is not a place for you to be like, I'm the only revolutionary around. It's like, if you look left and look right and you're like, I'm the only revolutionary around, it's because you're making freaking YouTube videos in your house.
Yeah, and this is crazy. We're gonna go back a few seconds.
But I am the only revolutionary around. Which is why you should give me money in the form of bits and subs and subscriptions and super chats. That's how we do socialism around these parts.
Because Zach, understandably, got excited and cut in, but he's literally about to explain how in this power dynamic, we're the ones with the power and she's somehow the victim. Like, we're a boss and she's like a lowly and
she just took a small bean. She took a small beans.
employee or something crazy like that, even though this is a like 40-year-old woman deep into her professional career, co-host and executive producer of a huge channel with millions of subscribers.
I'll see you later, Mr. Peter Wood. Mr. Peter Wood. He probably missed that, but I've said it nonetheless.
Ladies and gentlemen,
but we're somehow, again, the victimizer. Somehow there's a power dynamic here that is, it's, yeah, you guys can take a look. This is crazy, though. I don't understand this argument.
Subs, we've got 100,000. Surely there is have these main characters, but also you have to realize sometimes the power dynamic. So to the Vanguard, they're thinking, TYT's got 6 million subs, we've got 100,000. Surely there is no power dynamic at play there. But I think if you think there isn't, you're really overestimating both how popular the Young Turks is and how popular Ana is as an individual.
You're welcome.
And how popular she would be if she left TYT, I don't know, to start her own YouTube channel. Maybe she could be really successful. I just don't think she would even...
Well, like a baby otter. She would be quite successful because she'd have Peter Thiel's money behind her. She'd have the Ben Shapiro financial bump. Because again, no one likes Ben Shapiro. It's just he has the money to win the algorithm game. Like a baby otter. Okay, we're just gonna turn that off for a second. Thank you to who is this person? Zah! for gifting 20 memberships. Much love to you. Honestly, I will suck your dick. I swear to God. If you want to, like, obviously, I'm not. It's consent and all of that, applied. I'm just saying. I am a cheap ass hoe.
Reach the top tiers of leftist YouTube at this point. And also, it comes to a point as well when you're a certain creator.
That's true. Ben Shapiro's sister did fail. But what Ben Shapiro's sister didn't have that Ana Kasparian does is A, name brand recognition already. Everyone knows who she is. And B, she's got that I didn't leave the left left me grift. And so you put that together with Peter Thiel's money, or with the Mercer family money, or fucking whoever else, with the dark money that we know sloshes around on the right, she'd probably be okay. She'd probably do fine. Whereas Abby Shapiro was just really dull. Like, really fucking dull. She had two redeeming features, though. Moving on.
Not many people make criticism videos of you. There aren't that many videos criticizing my talking points because of my size, right? So if someone started making videos on me regularly, I would probably notice, because either their audience would come to me and start saying stuff, or some person who doesn't care about my feelings would send me the video itself. And if that happened, it's obviously going to get...
You remind me of the angry painting from the... Oh... I am a bit Vigo. I am a little bit Vigo, to be fair. That is true. I'll take that as a criticism. That's a step up from you look like the original Neanderthal, which is what I've been getting this week. For anyone who missed it, I'll where are we? Oh God, I tweet out a lot of shite sometimes. There we go. Boom. They did a composite image of the Neanderthal. And it's me. I'm just saying.
In your head. Like, even some of the videos and comments I watched today,
it's so bizarre because he doesn't actually really address any of the substance of the criticisms we've made of Ana Kasparian. He's just like, yeah, it would also drive me crazy if someone started criticizing me and being really mean to me. But it's like, you're not guilty of what Anna's guilty of, the Kavernacle. Like, I don't watch this guy's content all that much, but he's definitely not guilty of the sort of commentary that we've criticized Ana Kasparian for. He doesn't engage in this sort of like fear-mongering about crime, this pro-police propaganda.
Yeah, it basically looks like a JD Vance face at it, which again doesn't make it better. Like going from you look like a Neanderthal to you look like a face mash of an already fat, ugly, bearded man, JD Vance. Like, that doesn't make me feel better. That isn't a step up for me. It's not like, oh, thank God. Whew, I thought I looked like an ugly cunt for a second there, but it turns out I just look like a distorted, bloated version of JD Vance. Phew. Dodged a bullet there.
This transphobia, doing segments about Trinidad a month before the election, thoroughly red-pilling, her audience against the left right before a pivotal
True,
election,
Phantom,
right?
true.
Kavernacle hasn't done any of that. So why
Oh, Phantom, as we've got a Bulgarian in chat, I don't know if you saw this. I presume you probably did. It probably made the news in Bulgaria. But this was a belter. So this does not necessarily represent every person in Bulgaria. They're not all as stupid as this. But clearly, unfortunately, some are.
The Bulgarian top flight side, FC Arda, will play against Levski Sofia at the weekend. Before kickoff, the players gathered in the centre circle, their heads were bowed, and they solemnly observed a minute's silence for club legend Petko Ganchev. Barely a dry eye in the house, a touching moment for everyone associated with the club. Everyone, that is, except Petko Ganchev, who was alive and well and was on his way home to watch the match. He's now given an interview to Bulgarian TV. He said, "When I heard the terrible news, I poured myself a small brandy. While driving home, my phone started ringing a lot. I parked in front of our house, entered the yard, and my wife greets me crying, shouting, 'Petco, Petco, they announced on TV that you have died.' Anyway, at half-time, the club put out a statement. The management of PFC Arda would like to express a huge apology to former Arda player Petko Ganchev. We wish Petko Ganchev many more years of good health and to enjoy the success of Arda. The Bulgarian top-flight side, FC Arda, will play..."
Absolute fucking belter of a story. Love it. Fucking love it. Oh. Stories of Petko Ganchev's death have been greatly exaggerated.
Someone make videos. Why would someone criticize you relentlessly? I don't understand how this is even a valid defense of Ana, because he's not bringing up any of the specifics of what we've said. He's just acting like it's invalid inherently because he used to be a fan of Ana and he thinks we're being too hard on her. It's like, okay, well, I'm sorry. You can go watch fucking Democracy Now, bro. You don't have to watch our show.
Yeah, his whole argument is these guys say they're on the left and they talk about Ana Kasparian too much for my taste. It's like, bro, you're not a showrunner. You're not our producer. Like, I probably think that...
Non-binary wants to have a word, apparently. Phantom of Black. Why do we have a Bulgarian in chat and why aren't they protesting? Good question. Why aren't they? Oh, for fuck's sake. I'm not beating the allegations anytime soon, am I? There's a similarity, you know. I don't know if you can get DNA from a painting, but you know, if you could, you know, I think we'd need to test just in case.
You know what I, and again, I'm sure this is a really nice guy, but he has the energy of the kind of dude, like, it's like you meet him at a party and the first thing he tells you is he's a feminist. Like, it just kind of like is a little bit of an eye roll, this kind of critique.
No, I don't get that impression from Kavernacle. I think that's unfair. Although clearly they're like being jocularly rude. If that's even jocularly, is that a word? I don't know. Anyway, they're being rude for comedic effect. Because Kavernacle is actually quite a cool person by and large. I've never had a massive problem with them or anything. But this video was a bit weird.
That he's offering over here. And the other reality is he talks about how Ana's not, you know, competent or successful enough to make it on her own. I would call that misogynistic, right? I left a comment on this from the Vanguard account trying to be thoughtful. And I was like, bro, the knee-jerk reaction to coddle and infantilize this woman who is not a damsel in distress, but a professional broadcaster with 15 years experience talking about politics, the need for you to lie in traffic for her because a channel with less than 100,000 subs decided that we were going to be critical, not just of her, but of that entire network. We've made countless videos about Jank using the same kind of up-close video thumbnail style that you've decided is Karen-coded and misogynistic. We've made videos of John Iadarola. We've made videos of Jordan Ewell. We've made videos of Francesca Fiorentini. We've made videos all about the network because the whole theme of our channel was doing left media critique, right? And we realized that we were going to be able to seriously disrupt the reputation of this network that was laundering right-wing talking points to their audience and also pretending to be audience funded when they were not. So this is actually a corporate media critique. Imagine that you have decided that you are going to lie in traffic because we criticized a female host on MSNBC or CNN. You know what I mean? And we routinely do that because they routinely get up there and sling mud at the trans community. They routinely get up there and sling mud and throw dirt on the unhoused community. They blamed the Los Angeles Palisades fires on homeless people smoking drugs on that network. Okay?
Did they do that? That's wild. The Los Angeles crack fires. Oh, God. Did they actually do that? Has anyone got a link to that? Because that's an amazing clip. Did they actually fucking blame homeless people for the fire? God. And it was just because they're jealous of all the people's houses, so they burn them all down with their crack pipe fire. Oh, fucking hell, man. Oh, they're a parody. They're a parody of themselves. See, this is what I said earlier, that they shouldn't become Fox News, because that's actually too far and would not fulfill the role that Peter Thiel wants them to do. They're becoming that. They're literally doing like Fox News-esque conspiracy theories about the homeless starting fires. It's fucking mental. Like, that's too far. No leftist is ever going to buy that. Doing the fake outrage like, oh, we need to be really tough on criminals because that's the way we protect the women and the lady people. You know, doing that thing might work with some liberals. But being out there like, the homeless started the fires, so we should chop them all up and make them into fucking kebab meat. Like, you know. It's a bit much. It's a bit much.
All kinds of unsavory corporate cash. We have an obligation as media critics to call that out and to dispel those lies. And I'm not going to bite my tongue because this white woman gets her feelings hurt. That's crazy. And to his point,
she's not white. She just looks very white and is a Karen. So it's basically indistinguishable.
About how it would get to him if people made content about him every day. Bro, grow up. When we had 28,000 subscribers and I had quit my job for the first time, we had about half a dozen channels that were 3 or 4 times bigger than us talking about how we were dirt on the bottom of everyone else's shoe. Revolutionary Blackout Network, Do Dissidents, fucking the Jimmy Dore Show. We had people calling us out when we were fucking peanut sized. We lost all of our subscribers, basically. We cratered. All of our Patreon support went out the window because we challenged Jimmy Dore. We were like, this guy's a grifter. This guy is leading people astray. We didn't care. We doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on it. And we had people making hateful content about us all the time.
That's dope. I'm glad they did that. Because it's really easy, again, when that financial pressure's on, when that Patreon money's on the line, I understand why the pull towards the grift is there. But you've got to have the moral fibre to withstand that shit. And unfortunately, very few people seem to. Not very few, that's not fair. But there are lots of examples of people who can't, or didn't want to, or just were happy to grift in the first place. And so many of them came from TYT. It makes sense now.
Why? Because it's YouTube, dog. That's what the fucking...
That's what makes me love Emma Vigeland all the more. Because she came from the same fucking stable as Jimmy Dore and fucking Ana Kasparian and Cenk Uygur and fucking Dave Rubin and what was it, the sock sniffer? What was his name? Michael. Oh, that's really annoying. I can see his stupid baldy fucking head. Anyway, all of these wankers, these grifting fucking right-eyed wankers, and she stayed the course. She stays true to the thing she believed. Fucking awesome. Good for her.
You know what? Can't take the heat. Stay out of the kitchen, bro. But that's the way it is.
No, not Michael Knowles. No. Michael Tracy. Yes, Michael Tracy, the sock sniffer, which is an amazing story. He, I remember me and Christy and I, going through that story. Amazing. I can't remember who it was, but it was like someone he didn't like. It doesn't matter. And they were having an open house like tour thing because they were selling their house, right? So apparently a thing they do in America. Maybe they do it here too. I don't know. I've never sold a house, so I don't know. An open house thing, and you can go in and have a look around and see if you want to buy it, right? And so he pretended to be one of the people who wanted to go in and take a look at the house with the potential to buy the house, and went in there and started went into the sock drawer of this person's house, and started sniffing them. They were clean socks, but even so, fucking gross. And a massive invasion of that person's privacy. You are there to look at the fixtures and fittings, not to rifle through their fucking smalls, you freak. Anyway, what do we have here?
I had to evacuate. So I evacuated.
Ana Kasparian, frustrated by homeless arsons in California. Let's have a look. Oh. What am I doing?
I had to evacuate. So I evacuate to where you think it's going to be safe, in the middle of the San Fernando Valley, where I grew up, Reseda, California. Okay. But then there was an encampment fire, a giant encampment fire that threatened the neighborhood I was staying in. There are encampment fires daily, dozens of them daily. Add that to high winds, add that to dry conditions, and I mean, you're just creating the worst possible situation. People are terrified. No one is safe in California or Los Angeles when it comes to this issue. So when it comes to fire prevention, dealing with these encampments appropriately is also part of the equation, but people are afraid to even talk about that. I mean, Jake, am I...
Okay, I agree. Give them houses. Give them housing, yeah. Is that part of your solution, Anna? Part of your final solution to the homeless problem? The homeless question, the HQ, if you will. Is that a part of it, Anna, at all? Or is it just beat them with sticks until they die? Just shuffle them off into Arizona. Is there a border with Arizona? I don't fucking know. I don't care. You know what I mean? Into one of the adjoining states.
Am I wrong for bringing this up?
Yeah, you're wrong. Yes, you're wrong. Go fuck yourself.
The wildlife preserve near me, or reserve, I should say, near me, has been lit on fire. Dozens.
The homeless are burning koalas. You heard it. You heard it here first, chat. The homeless of California, of San Fernando, California, are burning koalas. Monsters. Absolute monsters. Anyway, Ana Kasparian is literally a piece of shit. Massive piece of shit. Lying, grifting piece of shit. Polymarket populism, everyone.
And if you think we lied about something specifically, then fucking bring it up and disprove it. Show people how we lied. But what's with this vague pearl clutching over the tone and the people in our comments accurately identifying Karen Kasparian as a Karen? Like, get the fuck over yourself, bro. That's crazy. But let's keep watching. And again, I'm trying not to be mean because this guy seems very nice and his heart seems so in the right place. But
they've hella overreacted. It was all for tepid, mild criticism, and then they just lashed out at me. I don't understand.
Racism! How many can we have a racism counter on this? How many times has he racismed against the truly oppressed minority that is the Briton? Unbelievable.
Dad, I'm a Brit person. I've got a pear clutch.
You know, it's getting in my head because I'm like, what, does everyone think this? Like, does everyone think this about me? Does everyone think I've said this? And the misinformation is what can drive you crazy, more so than the criticism. Because when you're watching a criticism of yourself from another creator,
we've never spread misinformation about Ana Kasparian. She, however, has spread misinformation about some of her critics to the left, people like Emma Vigeland and Ben Dixon. We've debunked those lies, but we do not traffic in misinformation. We don't.
Oh, hang on one second. I think 255 has absolutely outdone himself. TYT covering the Reichstag fire. I bet some homeless people were sleeping in the basement and dropped a crack pipe. Can we all just have a moment? Can we all just take a moment to appreciate the beauty of that? That is pertinent, very quick, nicely done, fucking funny as shit, and exposes their right-wingery. It's beautiful, honestly. Round of applause, everybody. We want rounds of applause. 707s will do. The 707 is very much the silent round of applause, if you would. And that story is as accurate as the one the Nazis told. So, you know.
spread it about the people that we criticize.
They said I worked on Wall Street on air at the Young Turks, which is hilarious. I have fucking hand and finger tattoos. You think they're hiring me on Wall Street? That's crazy.
Yeah. And by the way, if we ever do spread misinformation, like the closest we've ever come to is a clear joke about
The only thing I spread is cheeks.
like, oh, Anna drives a Porsche or something. Like,
Oh.
okay, maybe she actually drives a freaking Maserati. Sorry, but you know, obviously
She drives a Corolla, I think. So do I. That was the joke.
Sir, that's just like you and them. Okay, I made a video, you've called me out, and you've criticized what I said. Now I'll go to the comments. Is there anyone expanding on what this criticism was? Oh no, everyone is just saying random shit that has nothing to do with the video, and loads of people just venting their hatred for me just because they feel like this has given them permission. Now, there aren't too many women in the leftist YouTube space, and yeah, the Vanguard are on friendly terms with people like Emma, and I think they had friends.
Non-binary, I think that's an interesting what if, but also I don't think it would matter. Because I don't think the American people would treat it that seriously. Like, the January 6th people got fucking pardoned, and that was just allowed. So why would they care if there was a fire in there either? Like, it's not that big a deal. Kev, the Nazis said it was a communist, correct? Yes, okay. We'll briefly go through the Reichstag fire. Reichstag was the seat of government in Germany. The Nazis get in, they want to pass a thing called the Enabling Act, which was basically to give Hitler absolute power. The Reichstag wouldn't do this, so they had to create a false sense of a communist uprising. So they burned the Reichstag down. What they did was blame a guy called Marius van der Lubbe, who was a Dutch communist living in Germany. Now, undoubtedly, he did go into the building that night, but he did not start those fires. And we know that because they started in parts of the building that he couldn't possibly have accessed. And we know that there were, I think, upwards of 6 SS special operatives who were sent in there with special flammable materials. That fire spread far quicker than the material that Marius van der Lubbe had on his person when he was arrested and eventually executed. He had basically a lighter and some paper. That's it. There's no way he could have burned down that building in anything like the time it took to burn down. And we also know, and this is where people should maybe, again, look towards whether the leopard is wanting to eat faces in the first place. Because the people who did the actual fire, Hermann Goering was overheard at a party later on during the Second World War, boasting about the fact that those people had been dealt with so that no one could tell the story. They murdered them. The people who the SS specifically tasked with burning down the Reichstag were then themselves murdered by the Nazis so that no one could tell the story. Interesting. Also interesting, it was one of the very few vaguely fair trials that was ever had, because along with, and actually if you've still got we've still got Phantom of Black in chat, a Bulgarian whose name I've totally forgotten, Petrov possibly, who later went on to become the Prime Minister, I believe, of Bulgaria after the war, was also tried alongside van der Lubbe and was acquitted because there was literally no evidence whatsoever. Whereas with van der Lubbe, he was arrested at the site, and he did have flammable materials on him, so they killed him. But the Petrov guy, I think it was Petrov, if I remember correctly. Anyway, he became the Prime Minister of Bulgaria many years later. Little fact for you. The strange twists and turns.
Francesca on as well. At the same time, like I said,
but we are friendly.
Scale. Misogyny is a scale, and just because you're a man who's a feminist and a man who supports women.
He's like, so all the other women in the media space that Ana Kasparian has smeared, lied about, and demonized, all those people are cool with Zach and Gavin, but misogyny is a scale, and this is still somehow unacceptable, even though these other women in the space who I'm speaking for have no problem with it and have literally endorsed it. Literally fucking endorsed the commentary that we give by appearing on our show or by retweeting us on Twitter positively, by reaching out to us behind the scenes. None of them have had an issue with the tone, except for you, bro. You are literally speaking for women here, and I'm sorry, but it's kind of a white knight move, bro. It's kind of a
It is a bit white knight. It is a bit
cringe male feminist thing to do. When there's like a group of women who aren't actually pissed off about a thing, and you're like, hey, I'm pissed off on behalf of these people who aren't even pissed about this thing in the first place. Well, hey, guess what, bro? Thanks for the fucking advice, but we'll take it from women. You know, we'll take this criticism from a fucking woman, from someone who has some skin in the game, not from your virtue signaling, pearl clutching ass. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much across the board, besides Ana Kasparian, we have a great working relationship with all of the women in the breadtube space, and we have an open door
breadtube. I haven't heard the phrase breadtube in a very long time. Oh, you know, they talk about the second death. The first death being when the person dies, and the second death is the last time they're ever mentioned, right? So basically, they've faded from the consciousness of anyone who is currently still alive. They are spiritually now dead. I thought we'd had the second death of breadtube. It was already dead, right? The first death had already taken place years ago. I thought we'd seen the second death of breadtube, but apparently not. It's been reawakened.
policy. If any of these guys who make content like this, if you have a comment or a question about the way that we presented something, like my girlfriend's a reporter, she's a woman, right? Sometimes I say shit on this microphone, and then I go downstairs and I talk to her, and she tells me she fucking disagrees with it, and she didn't like the way that I fucking phrased that, and then I have that in my brain because I do care about criticism that comes from women. But like, you know, yeah, I'll take it from Emma, I'll take it from Crystal Ball, I'll take it from, you know, somebody in my life that I care about, not this guy who is desperate to be like, I'm the biggest feminist bro. You
I'm
know,
the
it's like,
biggest
no, dude,
feminism.
like, okay, like, touch grass, please. Like, go kick it with some people in real life. Like, Jesus Christ, the dehumanization of YouTubers. Like, you have a sanctions on Israel sign in the background. Does that not make you feel a little tone deaf? Like, and I can already tell all this guy's pushback, right? Like, you guys don't make serious enough content. It's like, no, dude, because you want to make the same exact kind of content that dozens of other people are already making. And people are already making that content. You know what people aren't doing? Media critique on the left. That's why you're losing your mind about it. And I also just think you have to suck it up and get tougher, dude. Like, I'm sorry the comment section is gaslighting you. Like, don't read it. Like, close your eyes. Like, just fucking turn that shit off and go for a walk with your homie. Smoke a joint. Live. The sun is shining, dude. Like, you cannot live your life obsessed with YouTube comments. It is a privilege. It is a privilege. And
Here we go. It wasn't Petrov. It was Dimitrov. Georgi Dimitrov. Dimitrov. In 1923, Dimitrov led a failed communist uprising against the government of Alexander Tsankov and was subsequently forced into exile. He lived in the Soviet Union until 29. At the time, he relocated to Germany and became head of the Comintern operations in Central Europe. Dimitrov rose to international prominence in the aftermath of the 1933 Reichstag trial. Accused of plotting the arson, he refused counsel and mounted an eloquent defence against the Nazi accusers, in particular Hermann Goering. Ultimately winning acquittal after the trial, he relocated to Moscow and was elected to head of the Comintern. And then in 1946 he returned to Bulgaria, yada yada yada, became Prime Minister. The 32nd Prime Minister of Bulgaria, indeed. This lad. Lovely tash.
Mind everybody that's been doing this on air for too long.
What?
Because it's hard work. I'm not denying that. I do it every day with Gavin. We don't have a single employee. We do everything ourselves.
Honestly, streaming is harder than your 9 to 5. Bricklayers wish they had it this hard. Honestly.
But it's still a blessing, dude. It is such an insane privilege to be able to just do a YouTube show for a living. Even though you put all your blood, sweat, and tears into it, it's a gift to be somebody that gets to do this for a living. And so if you have to take a little shit from people who disagree with you in the comment section, like, grow up. Don't let them gaslight you. Have some conviction.
Yeah, and also it kind of bugs me how he keeps talking shit on our comment section. Now, in multiple points, he's acted like everyone in our comments.
Is that Ana Kasparian's face on my head? Oh my, you keep your weird fucking kinks to yourself, 255. That's unnecessary. What the 255? You keep your weird face mash masturbation sessions to your fucking self, mate. That is gruesome. grotesque, my friend.
Section has, no substance. They just want an excuse to be mean and to bully Anna and be sexist. I don't see that at all in our comment section, bro. And I read most of the comments.
It's like a purge mask. That's so mean. Oh. Yeah.
Our videos, obviously, sometimes you see people that are just like being hyperbolic or they're being like a jerk to be funny, but for the most part, people are posting substantive comments about their own experience with the Young Turks, what it means to them to see this evolution in real time. Like, I don't even see that in our comment section. So that's also pretty annoying that he would imply that about our community. That does make me a little bit defensive and protective over what we've built over here, because it is a lot more than just a bunch of angry.
Well, look, the hang on, the thing I'm about to show you, the turkey thing, doesn't surprise me in the slightest. Elon Musk has rep on this. Elon Musk has previous. During the Turkish general election, he blocked all non-government accounts on the authority of the Turkish government because he doesn't care about free speech. So of course he'd fucking suspend opposition accounts as the Turkish government are rounding up opposition politicians in the most horrifically fascistic way. Just literally anyone who could beat Erdogan, or Erdogan, or however the fuck you pronounce it, is just getting arrested. It's just getting blackbagged off the streets. And Musk is aiding and abetting it. Obviously. Because he's a fucking evil bastard.
Misogynist that want an excuse to bash on women, and obviously he's presenting a little bit more nuance than that, but to reference our comment section in that light is a little bit aggravating to me.
And we still haven't gotten to hear any of our actual takes.
Yeah, he has yet to directly dispute or debunk anything.
Women's rights and all that stuff doesn't mean you can't have blind spots, and I'm not trying to say they can never criticize Ana Kasparian again, but I think the way they have
thanks
the
for the
conversation
permission,
around
bro.
her content, and also how they talk about her sometimes as well, and maybe the over focus on her specifically, it, again, like the Sniper Wolf stuff, it relies on a certain degree of misogyny, and I think it takes a certain degree of misogyny to think about this content and not have a second thought about what are we really doing here. Because
I think there's a certain truth to that, KSO, yeah.
Again, if you read the comments on these videos, there are obviously people leaving substantial critiques of Anna or substantial problems.
Karen Kasparian has lost her damn
Most
mind.
of the comments are like
That's
one
his
line.
best.
And I'm someone who's criticized Ana Kasparian a lot, and I'm someone who does.
Again, what the fuck, bro? You're gonna leave out the context of this video. This is a video where we talked about Ana Kasparian threatening us on the Young Turks live, threatening our channel, threatening to call the manager, threatening to nuke us into oblivion.
It is a bit libid, Paul, yeah. If the biggest criticism is they're calling her Karen, yep, I mean, yeah. They're calling a spade on this occasion, yeah.
As a channel and copyright strike us for reacting to their content, for stealing their content. I mean, this is completely outrageous, bro. I'm sorry. I like this guy. He seems cool, yada, yada, yada. He seems like his heart's in the right place. But now you're just being dishonest, bro. Now you're just smearing us and our audience and not referencing the video that this comment section is under, where she literally was acting like...
Yeah, wayward. There's been some really cool stuff. The anti-oligarch rallies that AOC and Bernie have been putting on have been dope. I think actually Tim Walls' little theatre lecture tour, whatever the fuck he's doing right now, seems pretty dope as well. They're getting fucking... They're doing numbers. Good to say. Whether it'll be enough, I don't fucking know. I hope that they're able to use that as something positive and go forward. But when you've got fucking absolute scum fucks like fucking Schumer at the head of the party, like, it's just... Did you see? Oh god, an old clip resurfaced. I didn't even know he was this bad. Hang on, where are we? This is him talking to AIPAC. This is the leader of the resistance.
The view of Palestinians is simple. Well, the Europeans treated the Jews badly, culminating in the Holocaust, and they gave them our land as compensation. Of course, we say it's our land. The Torah says it, but they don't believe in the Torah. So, That's the reason there is not peace. They invent other reasons, but they do not believe in a Jewish state. And that is why we in America must stand strong with Israel through thick and thin. We must, because that is the reason, not any of these other false shibboleths, why there is not peace in the Middle East. Too many people don't understand that here in America.
The Torah said it. So, and apparently the people who wrote the Torah get to be estate agents, realtors in the 21st century. Yeah, this is the guy that's going to lead the resistance against Trump. Get fucked, mate. Honestly, get fucked. Like, that's religious extremism. That's like the kind of shit you hear from, like, fucking ISIS people. Allah says we can have it, so fuck you. You know? It's evil. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Saying on my phone, I don't...
What's this?
Saying on my phone, I don't know, some of you know this on the iPhone, they've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to it to give me a little boost during the day. 225 and dropping. So
let's go.
And if you own one, we're not blaming you. You can take dental floss and pull the Tesla thing off, you know, and take out, just telling you.
Okay, well, frankly, I think we've seen enough of Silly and Billy talk about Kavernacle. And by the way, that's what they call themselves, Silly and Billy. It's based on a thing. Anyway, so, we had enough of that. We've had enough of that. Is he a stand-up comedian? No, but he would have been a boss-ass VP. I don't think he'd have been going around going, oh, Canada's not a real country, and shit like that. Or, the tiny little shit countries like Britain and France who have never fought a war in the history of the world. Get fucked. Anyway, let's watch some Steve Shives. Chuck Schumer's anti-Semitism double standard. That is a video that will get me to watch. Everyone go and follow Steve Shives. He's fucking awesome.
Schumer has been having kind of a rough... Senator Chuck Schumer has been having kind of a rough last couple of weeks, hasn't he? Not undeserved from where I sit, but he caved to the Republicans and voted with the Republican majority in the Senate to pass a continuing budget resolution to prevent a government shutdown. And the problem with that, in the eyes of many folks, including me, was that of the two bad options that were presented to the Democrats in that situation, either voting with the Republicans to avert a government shutdown and pass a bill that a lot of people criticized as being a terrible bill because not only would it continue to fund the government, which isn't a bad thing.
I'd love to have Steve on again. That'd be fucking dope, yeah. I'd be fucking down for that, KSO, yeah. I'd have to get in touch with him. And this is the problem. I find it very difficult keeping in touch with people. It's only because Christy puts a lot of effort in that I'm in contact with her, frankly. Because I'm fucking useless at keeping in touch with people. Both in real life and online. Especially online. Because you don't bump into people in the street online, do you? You know? You bump into someone on the street, they say, oh, do you want to come to this party or whatever? And you go, yeah, that's cool. That can't happen online. So it's like even harder. Because I'm... What's the technical term for it? Lazy bastard? Like lazy feckless cunt? Yeah? That's basically what I am.
But it would have also given a lot more authority to the executive branch and specifically to President Trump in terms of spending and control over the budget. And it was just seen as a bad thing. And the other option would have been to allow the government to go into shutdown, which would have been terrible, but would have, as the thinking went, given the Democrats some leverage in negotiations. And they could have gone to the Republicans and said, okay, you need some of our votes to get the government open again, so let's negotiate. Now we kind of have you guys with your back against the wall, and you're going to have to make some concessions to us for once. Like, that was the hope that would have been the situation, but it didn't happen because Senator Schumer, as the Senate minority leader, came...
Oh, have I got the thing turned off? Oh, I've still got the alert box turned off. Sorry. Thank you, Rachel Atwood. You would have scared the shit out of me, but I had it turned off. Sorry. My congressman called for a general strike. Oh, that's fucking dope. Linky. Link me to the congressman who called for the general strike. Because I need to know who I'm going to suck off tonight. Let's fucking go.
Came out and said, I don't like it, but I'm voting.
Why are you raining now? We had lovely weather for a couple of days, and now it's pissing down. Well, it's raining anyway.
To keep the government open, because I think that's the better of the two options. And most Democrats still voted against it, but enough Democrats sided with Senator Schumer and voted for the continuing resolution that it was able to pass, and the government stayed open, and the Democrats lost all of their potential leverage to either get some things done through for their agenda, or to force the Republicans to abandon certain parts of their agenda, which so far has been incredibly destructive and also seems to be increasingly unpopular with the American people. It felt like an instance where the Democrats could have seized the momentum.
Well, exactly. This is the thing, though, right? The Democrats, when given an option to do nothing or to do something to oppose fascism, chose the nothing option. Take from that what you will, chat.
And they just let it slip through their fingers. And it's very, very frustrating. So Senator Schumer's been getting a lot of bad press because of that. And again, I say deservedly so, but that's not the main thing I want to talk about in this video. I will come back to it eventually, but there's something else that Senator Schumer has been in the news for recently that I actually want to focus on. He has a book coming out, and because of that, he's been giving interviews and appearing on talk shows and stuff. And there are two quotes, one from the book and one from an interview that he gave related to the book, and where he also discussed a lot of other topics, that sort of shed light on his attitude about the subject of anti-Semitism. And anti-Semitism is a subject that Senator Schumer knows a lot about. He is a Jewish American. He is a very prominent Jewish American politician, and he has a lot of anti-Semitic insults and attacks directed at him. He has definitely been vilified by anti-Semites over the years, and especially lately.
That is true.
We need to start thinking about out-of-the-box ideas like a general strike.
Fuck yes.
It's easier said than done because it requires buy-in by everybody. Right? It requires planning. But in Europe, there was a tradition of that. I mean, you saw that in Poland. When the communists were in charge in Poland, when the solidarity movement, was trying to gain traction, it was a general strike that basically, began to show the cracks in the existing government there, led the way for the solidarity movement and Lech Walesa to go to power. Again, I mean, for a lot of people, when you talk like that, it's like, they think, how it's like they're not ready for it yet. But the bottom line is, we need to start. I know you are. We need to start thinking about.
Fuck yes, well done, Jim McGovern. Fucking legend.
And most especially since Trump returned to the presidency. So he knows a lot about the subject, but his thoughts on anti-Semitism and what, in his mind, constitutes anti-Semitism are interesting and, I fear, telling of some really deep issues and problems with his attitude and with him occupying such a senior leadership role in the Democratic Party. So the first quote about anti-Semitism that I want to bring to your attention is from his book, and it's quoted in an article on the book and on Senator Schumer that was published on the website Forward, which is a Jewish independent news site. And this article on Forward by Jacob Kornbluh quotes from Schumer's book. And here is the quote from Schumer's book on the subject of anti-Semitism and Donald Trump. Let me state unequivocally, I do not believe Donald Trump is an anti-Semite.
The man who said that you, the person writing this, Chuck Schumer, noted lifelong Jewish man, is no longer a Jew. That you are a Palestinian because you've said maybe Israel should not be killing so many Palestinians. But you're still like obviously a Zionist because the clip we saw earlier, you're clearly still doing the Zionist thing. He said you weren't Jewish anymore. He de-Judified you as a person. But he's not an anti-Semite. This is the resistance. This is the resistance to fascism. I don't believe that Herr Hitler is anti-Semitic, says noted Jewish person, I don't know, Abraham von Schumer. I don't fucking know. Whatever. What a fucking prick. Honest to God, what an absolute fucking moron.
Schumer writes, but he all too frequently has created the feeling of safe harbor for far-right elements who unabashedly or in coded language express and...
If he's creating a safe space for anti-Semites, stay with me now, Chuck, he's an anti-Semite. Do you think many non-anti-Semites do that? Charles.
Anti-Semitic sentiments. There are a couple of things disturbing about that quote from Senator Schumer's book. One is the notion that Donald Trump providing safe harbor for anti-Semites doesn't make Donald Trump himself an anti-Semite. That's kind of an interesting line to draw. And then there's another line that is drawn in that same passage where he doesn't even say that the elements that Trump is giving safe harbor to, the far-right elements who traffic in anti-Semitism, he doesn't even call them anti-Semites. Now, he might intend to characterize them that way through this paragraph, but he doesn't say they're anti-Semites. He doesn't say Donald Trump himself isn't an anti-Semite, but he too frequently provides safe harbor for anti-Semites. He says far-right elements who express anti-Semitic sentiments. Again, are they not anti-Semites? Like, what is the difference between an
No, it has to be someone who's anti-Zionist. Only someone who is against the genocide being committed by the Israeli government. Only those people are anti-Semites. That's the only real anti-Semite in the world, didn't you know? With Jeremy Corbyn being the Pope of those anti-Semites, naturally.
Semite and a person who unabashedly or in coded language expresses anti-Semitic sentiments. What is the difference, and why does Senator Schumer feel the need to parse that so precisely?
Because he's a fucking coward. Next question.
There's nothing wrong with precision, and there's nothing wrong with accuracy, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to articulate one's position as precisely as possible. But in this instance, it seems a little weak that Senator Schumer would go to such rhetorical pains to avoid calling people who express anti-Semitic sentiments on the far right as anti-Semites, and also that he would feel the need to state unequivocally that he doesn't believe Donald Trump is an anti-Semite. Donald Trump, who, as this article in Forward reminds us, has said grossly anti-Semitic things about Chuck Schumer himself. He has accused Chuck Schumer of no longer being Jewish. Repeatedly, in public, he has said, well, Chuck Schumer is a Palestinian now. He's not...
Yeah, to be fair, the Pope is the Pope of anti-Semitism. Yeah, that is true.
Jewish anymore. He's a Palestinian now. Because Senator Schumer has occasionally expressed extremely tepid condemnation of some of what Israel has been doing in Gaza. And on that subject, let's move on to the other article, the other quote that I wanted to share with you on the subject of anti-Semitism from Senator Schumer. And this is from an interview he gave recently to the New York Times. It was published, I believe, on March 16th. And in the interview with the New York Times, Schumer is talking specifically about Israel's operations in Gaza and why he objects to characterizing Israel's assault on Gaza as genocide.
Oh, I can't wait. This is going to be horrific.
Quoting Senator Schumer from the interview, one final thing, this is very important. Jewish people were subject, at least in my judgment, to the worst genocide ever. I put in the book, on the day they got Kyiv, the Nazis asked 33,000 Jews to line up by a trench, stripped naked, and they shot them all dead. Every day, Auschwitz killed 20,000 people. My family was killed.
I'm not sure that stat is entirely true. I don't think... Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that isn't true. But Auschwitz did kill a lot of Jewish people. I'm just questioning the accuracy of his statement. But it is, I mean, a rancid place. And other than, like I say, the number specifically there, I'm agreeing with his point. But, like, if he's just going to say, well, they were genocided, so now they get to do a genocide, but I'm not going to call it a genocide, like... It's gross.
Killed from a place called Short Kyiv in western Ukraine. And this was vicious and horrible. And it is vicious of the opponents to call this genocide. And by this, he means Israel's assault on Gaza. Criticize it? For sure. Say Israel went too far? For sure. And you know what it does? It increases anti-Semitism. Because they're making Israel and the Jewish people...
No! Time out. Israel and the Jewish people are not one and the same. A criticism of Israel, a criticism of the IDF, a criticism of Benjamin Netanyahu is not a criticism of Jewish people. I don't consider Jewish people to be monsters. I do consider the Israeli government monstrous. And you know that difference, Chuck Schumer, because you're not fucking brain dead. So I do have to ask why you're lying about it.
People look like monsters, which they are not. And the interviewer, Lulu Garcia Navarro, interjects and says, I will say it's a word that a UN special committee has used. The word, again, being genocide. And then Schumer responds, please. The UN has been anti-Israel, anti-Semitically against.
The UN is Hamas! Oh, fuck it. This guy's the opposition to Trump. This guy's leading the opposition. He is the resistance. Oh. I hate the entire world. I'm not anti-Semitic. I hate all people. I hate all fucking people. Every one of you. All of you. Everything.
Israel. So let's just put these two pieces of information together. In the estimation of Senator Schumer, Donald Trump, who has accused Chuck Schumer of not being Jewish anymore because in Trump's mind, Schumer has been too supportive of Hamas, too supportive of the Palestinian people, but that doesn't make Donald Trump anti-Semitic in Senator Schumer's eyes. But you know who is anti-Semitic in Senator Schumer's eyes? The United Nations. And why is he saying that? In response to the interviewer pointing out that a UN special committee has...
If he believes that the UN is anti-Semitic, why has he not called for the United States government to withdraw from the United Nations? Why has he not asked that the United Nations General Assembly building be dismissed? Or at least that the UN be kicked out from American territory? Because he knows it's not true, is the answer, fundamentally.
Described Israel's actions in Gaza as genocide. So calling what Israel is doing to Gaza genocide is anti-Semitic.
Has he called for that? Has Chuck Schumer called for the US to withdraw from the United Nations? Why, he's a madman. I've never heard him say that, but that's fucking insane.
But Donald Trump accusing...
Also, if America withdraws from the United Nations, who's going to allow Israel to get away with everything? Because if the United States aren't there, who's going to veto everything that's even mildly critical of Israel at the Security Council? No, Trump has. No, I know Trump has, but I'm saying if Chuck Schumer believes that the United Nations is anti-Semitic, why hasn't he called for that? Why is he okay with the US government continuing to be part of an anti-Semitic organisation? And then fundamentally, it's because he doesn't think that.
Senator Schumer of not being Jewish anymore because supposedly he's too supportive of Gaza. That's not anti-Semitic. What an interesting line to draw here. Is anybody who is being taken seriously doing what Schumer is describing? Accusing all of Israel or all of the Jewish people of genocide because of what's happening in Gaza? I don't think so. Most people, including the protesters, including the most ardent pro-Palestinian voices in this conversation, most people are making it as clear as they can because they hear these accusations all the time of anti-Semitism. They're making it as clear as they can that when they charge people with genocide for what's happening in Gaza, they are talking specifically about the people in the Israeli government who have ordered it, first and foremost Netanyahu, and the soldiers in the IDF who have carried it out. Not everybody in Israel, not everybody who is a Jew all around the world. They are not trying to assign collective guilt. They are just pointing out that the people who are actually responsible for doing this to the people of Gaza are carrying out a genocide. And Senator Schumer...
No way. No way. There's a community note in the wild. Someone put on their Cybertruck, I bought this before Elon went crazy. Right? And then someone stuck beneath, Tesla only started selling the Cybertruck after Elon Musk went crazy. IRL community notes. I'm very much here for it. Very much. Kev, I'm getting the distinct feeling that Steve is from Maryland. I think I'm correct. You are very much correct. Also, little side note whilst we're on it. He does did a fantastic series. It's a long time ago now, but I've been into his shit for years. About his local newspaper, and specifically about the letters page for like local dickheads to write in and talk shit. How long am I having to scroll back? God, he's got a lot of series. Holy shit. Here we go. Riffing on Mail Call, right? An amazing series called Riffing on Mail Call, where he just goes through like the letters in the local mail, in the local paper in fucking wherever, buttfuck Maryland, Hagerstown, I believe, and does the thing. So I'll just take a look at a random one from 2011. We're on a Steve Shives sidetrack now.
Good morning, everybody.
God, look how beautiful and young he was. Twink death is real. Look, no offense, Steve, but twink death be a thing, friend. Oh no, I'm sorry. Hang on, where were we? We were like there. Okay.
With the vernal equinox having taken place late Sunday night, it is official. Spring has sprung. Winter is over. I can now look forward to 6 months of beautiful, warm, sunny weather, baseball, long walks outdoors with my wife, fresh breezes, open windows, and people constantly driving by on motorcycles, ruining all of it. The following comments are taken from editions of Mail Call, printed in the Herald Mail from March 8th to March 18th, 2011, which can be viewed online in their entirety at www.herald-mail.com. First up from Hagerstown. Lesson learned. It took Bush and Cheney 4,000 deaths of our finest soldiers and 100,000 innocent men, women, and children, Iraqis, to die to remove Saddam Hussein. President Obama got Mubarak removed from Egypt by making a speech and telling the people in the army not to take it anymore. Now it's happening in Libya. So, there you go. Lesson learned. Well, yeah, but let's not draw any lessons from Libya until we see how this whole no-fly zone thing works out, eh? I will say
that
this,
aged well, didn't it?
If Barack
Yeah.
Obama wants to guarantee himself re-election next year, all he has to do is come out after the Libya situation inevitably degenerates into an even bloodier, more violent, boots-on-the-ground type scenario, and announce that we are going to let the French handle it this time around. Cut this, cut that. Why isn't anyone talking about cutting welfare payments? Halfway. Yeah, I'm with you. Why isn't anybody, apart from the current Speaker of the House, the current Senate Minority Leader, all of the prospective Republican presidential candidates, and pretty much every other conservative politician and commentator in the United States, talking about cutting welfare payments? Unless you're talking about cutting corporate welfare, or church welfare, or any other type of welfare that would involve raising taxes on people with enough money to easily afford it so that it won't be necessary to take benefits away from people who actually need them. Because that's totally off the table. First of all, thank you, Senator Shank, for the no vote on the gay marriage law. My question is this. Has anyone contemplated a special clause in this law, if it passes, for when inmates want to marry one another? I can't see where you can discriminate against them. They're allowed to have visitors come in and get married to them, so what's to stop them from marrying each other? I kind of doubt if all these lawmakers that want to vote yes on this gay marriage have looked at all the scenarios. Hagerstown. What an asshole.
See, that's all you need sometimes.
I'm calling about the article on the front.
Yeah, sometimes that's all you need. Is just that this person's an asshole. Yeah. What else is to be said? I don't know if you know, but I learned quite a lot from Steve. He was my teacher. I am his pupil. He must be very ashamed of himself.
Page. Supreme Court. Anti-gay picketers allowed on Thursday, March 3rd, 2011. Mr. Snyder had a right to bury his son in peace and not have all that stuff from the Westboro Baptist Church hatred come out. God doesn't hate the person. He hates the sin. That person was a soul. And the people that are judging that man, they're going to be judged. And this is something to
Was
think
he
about.
shit at computers too? There's no need. There's no fucking need. No, he was very good at it. But that's not the point. I'm just being absolutely rinsed in chat tonight.
God bless. Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. Fred Phelps and the Westboro Baptist Church are horrible people. Miserable, bigoted, shamelessly attention-courting.
And fantastically, on his deathbed, he got kicked out of his church. Yeah, that's right. The God hates F's people. Yeah, they kicked the guy that founded that church, Fred Phelps, out of the church on his deathbed. Lol.
But they are totally entitled to protest at funerals and hold up placards bearing whatever fucked up slogans their primate brains can imagine. The Supreme Court made the right decision because, much as these occasional reminders may pain us, free societies are not built on the rights of grieving parents to bury their...
No, that's the point of just calling him an arsehole, 255, is there's nothing wrong with letting people in jail marry each other. No. They're just two people who want to marry each other. They're both still in jail. They don't get any extra, time off for good married behaviour or some shit, but yeah, they're just getting married. Yeah, cool. The love of one another might keep them away from crime as well. You never know.
Their children in peace. They're built on the rights of all citizens to express themselves, no matter how vile and offensive those expressions might be. As for the rest of your comment, why should I lend your claims about God any more credence than those made by the Westboro Baptist Church? What makes you right and them wrong? Yeah, it might sound good saying that God doesn't hate people and he judges those who presume to judge others. But how do you know?
Good point.
Responding to the call from Hagerstown, printed in mail call on 3/2/11, to the Hagerstown caller who suggested that teaching of reading, writing, and arithmetic in our schools was suffering because students were spending time with computers, I would take you more seriously if your own grammar were perfect. There was 4 quarts to a gallon should be there were 4 quarts to a gallon. Grammatical errors are very common in mail call, and they are often found in letters or calls praising the schools of yesteryear. Hagerstown. Ooh, I got a tingle. Anybody else get a tingle from that one? You know, I'm not usually much of a grammar grouch, but that one felt good. I haven't felt that good since I watched all those videos of failed marriage proposals. Which was 2 days ago, but still. Wednesday began the beginning of the most sacred time in the Christian church.
That's
I
a
say
weird
Christian
punchline.
church because Lent is not a Catholic event. It is a sacred Christian time of inward reflection.
Lent isn't a Catholic thing. Suck my dick. I'm a former Catholic, but that's just wrong. Shut up.
Fasting and prayer. Smithsburg.
Bigoted wanker.
Calling into the newspaper to mark the beginning of a sacred religious observance by shitting on other denominations of your own faith. Ah, Christianity. Remember when Obama was running for president and he was saying, let's share the wealth? Well, we don't have any wealth left. We're $14 trillion in the hole, and now they're looking at cutting.
Do you remember when America was only $14 trillion in debt? Oh, halcyon days economically.
Cutting this and cutting that from the budget. I'll tell you what you can cut from. Cut away from the one thing that most of the people never put anything into and still receive from. Let's cut welfare. Williamsport. Let's cut welfare. Finally. It's about time somebody had the guts, not to mention the imagination, to make that suggestion. So let's talk about cutting welfare. Federal spending on welfare in 2011, things like unemployment insurance, food stamps, public housing, will amount to just a bit under $500 billion. That's around 13% of all federal spending for this year. If we eliminated every last penny of that from the budget, it would drop the deficit from $1.6 trillion to $1.1 trillion and reduce the national debt from $15.5 trillion to $15 trillion. Hardly worth it when you consider how necessary these benefits are to most of the people who receive them, it seems to me. But what do I know? I'm a bleeding heart liberal.
True.
So go right ahead. Cut welfare. Save nothing and increase the hardship felt by millions of already impoverished Americans just to keep the top donors happy and score a few cheap political points with the rubes you so remorselessly exploit. That's the American way. I think it's stupid about this new Bible that is going to be on shelves. I think the Bible should never be changed. The Bible is not just a storybook, it's the way everybody should live. They should not be changing words in the Bible or anything. God in heaven doesn't change, so why should the Bible change?
So I presume you read it in the original Aramaic then, with all the Apocrypha? Shut the fuck up. The Bible's one of the most changed books in history.
Why should his word change? I think it's just another way for people to want to write their own Bible, so they can live the way they want to and try to be justified. Hagerstown. Well said, Hagerstown. People who want to change the Bible are just asking for trouble. I assume that you are fluent in Koine Greek and refer only to the text as found in the oldest surviving Greek manuscripts from the 4th century, and not to any of the many translations derived therefrom, including the...
Literally, we know the room. We know the room in which the King James Bible was written. It still exists. You can go and visit it in Cambridge right now. We know who did it, and why they did it, and how they did it. Because it didn't happen that fucking long ago, you bellend.
King James Version, with their canons chosen by committee and their more ambiguous passages left open to the discretion of the translator. Although, even those Greek manuscripts contain thousands of scribes' errors, and there's no telling how many passages, hell, entire chapters were added to the text long after it was originally written down. Plus, there's the fact that the oldest surviving manuscripts only date back to about 400 years after the supposed events of the New Testament, and even the oldest surviving fragments probably weren't written down until decades after the death of Jesus, leaving plenty of time for errors and exaggerations, both unintentional and deliberate, to find their way into the text. You being such a strict biblical originalist, that must drive you nuts! To the liberals' ridiculous claim that Republicans hate children and want to solve financial problems on the backs of children, I say it is the teachers and teachers' unions who seek to enrich themselves on the backs of children. I also remind you that it is conservatives that love children and oppose killing them in the womb.
How many conservatives do we think have been found to have been fucking kids and interfering with kids? Like, there's been 3 or 4 just this week. So since 2011, there's like an army of pederasts, conservative pederasts. Pedocon theory is just undefeated. But, you know, they're the ones that love kids. And we know what they mean by love.
In 2012, what they will find is more of what they saw in 2010, Hagerstown. What you call enriching themselves, most teachers call paying their bills. And that sort of self-righteous preaching about the sanctity of life would ring a lot truer if more in the anti-abortion crowd would give some consideration to the quality of life. And finally, from Roarsville, I see the Democrat Party must be sending out instructions to its followers. 2 mail calls on March 3rd made fun of Neil Parrott and said, "I want my vote back." I doubt that either person voted for Neil Parrott, but that's a standard trick of Democrats, to pretend they are a disillusioned Republican voter. But here's something important, and I thought of it without any instructions from a political party. State Senator Ron Young, who represents a part of Washington County, voted for the same-sex marriage bill. Those who voted for him, don't you want your votes back? Why do you assume other people must be bigoted jerks just because you're one? And personally, I would much rather have Ron Young representing me in the state senate than a tool like Chris Schenck. Or Neil Parrott, who favors the compulsory tattooing of AIDS patients, by the way. I don't know if I've mentioned that lately.
Fucking
With those two in Annapolis, not to mention the other proudly uninformed ideologues and religious fanatics elected this last time around by pandering to the most ignorant and fearful members of their party, one hardly has to assume democratic trickery to account for all the disillusioned Republicans out there. And now that I've had a few seconds to think about it, I want to apologize for calling Chris Schenck a tool. Tools are useful. Thanks for watching.
There you go. Fucking awesome series. Love that shirt.
People that Schumer still finds himself compelled to defend, at least against this specific charge. Compelled to defend against the charge of genocide. But the United Nations, he'll call them anti-Semitic, without even blinking. It's not as though the members of the UN or the members of the International Court of Justice or any of the other respected, recognized, legit...
That's a mad story, 255. I love it. You thought we would date. Oh no.
...legitimate international bodies that have described what Israel is doing in Gaza as genocide came to that conclusion on just a snap judgment after watching some news coverage for a few minutes, you know? They've looked into this. They've conducted their own independent investigations, in some cases taking months to examine what to many of us was fairly obvious. But they got in there and actually looked at it. And after exhaustive investigation of the conditions in Gaza and the actions of the Israeli government and the Israeli military, they concluded on that basis that what was happening is a genocide. Coming to that conclusion based on the evidence they examined, in the mind of Senator Schumer, makes them anti-Semitic, but not Donald Trump. I want to bring this back to the continuing resolution fight and the capitulation that lost the Democrats that fight, because I do think there is a commonality here. It feels like Schumer, in choosing what he will describe as anti-Semitic and what he won't describe as anti-Semitic, is doing something similar to what he was doing in choosing how to vote in the matter of the continuing resolution and to avert the government shutdown or not. He's trying to choose his battles, I think. He's trying to be strategic, but his judgment as far as what strategy ought to be followed in what situation seems to be kind of unreliable. There are certain times where your instinct to not be too provocative is the wrong way to go. I understand that Schumer is a politician. I understand that he is a senator, that he is a senior.
He's a very bad politician. That's the problem. He's shit at this.
Senator, that he is a leader of the Democratic caucus in the Senate, and he has been for a long time. And I'm sure a large part of that job is to try and bring as many people together and to not piss people off any more than you have to. So he is used to threading the needle, right? He's used to walking the tightrope, and he's used to expressing himself in as diplomatic and cautious and...
Well, when you're calling the United Nations anti-Semitic, I'm not sure that you can really say that of him. He's not being diplomatic or cautious. He's a fucking arsehole. He's just like... It's so obvious that so many of these people are like Israel first. Including Donald Trump and Elon Musk and all these fuckers. They just do Israel first. It literally will never... I can never get past Donald Trump literally tucking Benjamin Netanyahu's chair in behind him. Like they were on a fucking date. And he was trying to get in her knickers. Like, it's fucking embarrassing. It's embarrassing how cooked they are.
Non-inflammatory a way as he possibly can. And maybe that's what's behind him refusing to describe Donald Trump as an anti-Semite. He feels like he doesn't want to draw that line. He doesn't want to accuse Trump of that because that will cost him something. That will make it more difficult to negotiate with Trump. I don't know exactly what he thinks he's going to lose at this point, given what Trump has already said about him. Like, how much worse is it going to get? If Senator Schumer comes out on TV tomorrow and says, you know what, Donald Trump is an anti-Semite, and all that shit he's been saying about me is anti-Semitic shit, and he's an anti-Semite for saying it. Like, how much worse is it going to get? How much worse are the relations between Trump and Schumer going to get after that, given the zero respect that Trump shows him at present?
Yeah.
Like, why not just call it what it is? But for whatever reason, he's decided not to do that. Just as he decided that it wasn't worth going to a government shutdown in the standoff with the Republicans. And the impression that that creates in both instances is that Senator Schumer is just not willing to put up a fight. Now, he might say that discretion is the better part of valor, and that it's actually the wiser move to not put up a fight. But the problem is, a lot of us out here in the wilderness, a lot of us Democrats, a lot of us just plain old Americans, regardless of our political affiliation, regardless of what party we're registered to, if any, a lot of us have the impression that the Democrats are almost never up for a fight.
Yeah.
Even in these times, even with Trump and his administration doing what they've been doing, even with the stakes as high as they are, it seems like the Democratic Party, the only serious opposition to Trump, at least politically, is just not up for a fight.
Yeah, they're spineless. They're pathetic. Absolutely fucking pathetic.
And will choose to not fight whenever that is an option.
Yep.
And that is unacceptable to me.
Absolutely. Everyone go and follow Steve Shipes. He's awesome.
Senator Schumer, this is not good enough. And if you are not up for a fight, maybe it's time that you stepped aside and made room for someone who was, if there even is such a person who could fill your shoes at this moment. And I hope there is, and I think there is. There must be. There are some really fine Democrats in the Senate right now. I'm sure somebody...
Are there? I mean, maybe there are that I'm just missing. I don't know. Any suggestions from chat? Maybe Steve's just a much nicer person than I am, but I don't see these particularly useful, worthwhile Democrats, to be honest. I don't know, man. Does anyone have a link to this channel? Yeah, 1 second. I don't think they do live streaming on Twitch or anything. I think it's all... Steve's all about the YouTubes. Ooh. There you go.
Would be willing to step up and be a lot more strong and combative against Trump and against the Republicans than you.
AOC has been floated. Well, yeah, but she's not even in the Senate. So that, like, I'm sort of talking about senators who could step up and be the Democratic majority leader. Socially, I don't think any of those people are in the Senate. Well, no, Bernie Sanders is in the Senate, but he's not even, I think, technically a Democrat, is he? I think he's still a independent. Do I look like I know American senators? No, that's fair. That's fair. You know what's not fair, though? Poverty. And you can save me from poverty in the form of bits, or super chats, or subscriptions, or memberships. And you can give those things to other people as well. You can gift memberships and stuff to people and subscriptions. These are things. And you can help me avoid some level of poverty.
You, Senator Schumer, have unfortunately shown yourself to be. And here's the bit that I haven't told you, and you might know this already, but just in case you don't. The book that Chuck Schumer has just recently published, that he is going on to these tours to promote. The title of that book is Anti-Semitism in America. The book where he wrote, quote, "Let me state unequivocally, I do not believe Donald Trump is an anti-Semite." That book is about anti-Semitism.
Imagine writing a book called Anti-Semitism in America, and in there you write, Donald Trump is not an anti-Semite. The leading anti-Semite of America. Oh my God. Okay, again, if someone can find me a totally legal, 100% legal, honest copy of this book, I think I need to read it, because it sounds hilarious. But what we want is a free copy. Don't spend a penny. Don't give this man a fucking single penny. But a legal, yeah? Totally legal. Honest. And send that PDF to me, and I will read it. Wait, Kev can read. No, but I do get people to read it for me. My prisoner husband reads it for me. I lost my job in February, so I was killed. Oh no, Super Tiny Bob, you don't apologise, okay? Like, we do the joke about, oh, this is how you do socialism, because it's a joke, right? But always make sure, before you give a penny to any streamer, me or Hassan or fucking anybody, right? Always make sure you've got all of your shit financially covered. This is obviously like a luxury expense for you. So never ever feel sorry if you can't afford it, or if you just don't want to. It's not the end of the world. Like, we put ourselves out there, and people give amazing support. I'm genuinely very, very honoured by the generosity. But if people can't afford it, that's fine. You don't ever need to apologise for that. Good point, Kev. Can I get a refund on my sub this month? No.
In America. It's not just a generic political memoir. It's about the subject of anti-Semitism. And I am not going to accuse Senator Chuck Schumer.
Do you have libraries in the UK? We used to, and then we sold them all because rich people didn't want to pay any tax anymore. So there.
Incapable of recognizing anti-Semitism when he sees it. I do not believe that is the case. I believe that when he sees unequivocal, unambiguous anti-Semitism, which he unfortunately probably sees on a daily basis, that he knows exactly what it is. And I believe in his heart of hearts, he knows exactly what Donald Trump is.
Of course he does. Chuck Schumer is not a stupid man. He's just a very bad liar. Thank you, Carl Brown, for gifting us up to Super Tiny Bob. Which, didn't we work this out last time, that it's random who it gives it to? Like, you can't actively choose to do it, right? So randomly, Carl gave a thing out, and it was to Super Tiny Bob, who lost his job. That rhymed. Didn't mean that. Yeah, the person we were just talking to.
Oiled like a baby otter.
That's fucking awesome. Anyway, well done to that person. Yes, Super Tiny Bob. I mean, it's not going to help you with your search for work / continued financial sustenance, but you do get some emotes. So, enjoy. And also, thank you, Carl Brown, for gifting a sub to Retro Border. Much love. Much love. What is this, 255? If it's a long-ass video, I can't be bothered.
So,
Chuck Schumer is a disaster. We might watch that tomorrow, although probably not, if I'm entirely honest. But, yeah. Yeah, no, for reals, my move, yeah.
But he's not willing to say it. And he is either not willing to say it because he's afraid to, for whatever reason.
He just got paid in exposure. True.
Because he has decided that it is a smarter political strategy not to say it. I don't know which one of those two things is true. I suspect at least one of them is. It may be a combination of the two, but
I think you're also ignoring, and well, not ignoring, but maybe you haven't analysed it in this way, that Chuck Schumer doesn't want to appear to be pointing out a Zionist as an anti-Semite. Because that sort of undermines the argument. Because if the argument is you can't criticise Israel without being an anti-Semite, because Israel equals all Jewish people, if he then criticises Donald Trump, who is a Zionist, you're undermining that argument, right? Because you're saying the person supporting the Jewish people is anti-Semitic, ergo, it's possible to be a Zionist and an anti-Semite. Which is incongruous to the Zionist way of viewing the world. Because Zionist is like subtext for good and righteous, and so anything opposed to that is bad and anti-Semitic, even if it's not targeting a Jewish person, which it wouldn't be, of course, in the case of Donald Trump. So it's also, I think, that's a part of the thing. The only organisations or people you can target with the accusation of anti-Semitism are people who oppose Israel. By that logic, does Schumer consider himself Israeli? I don't know. I don't know if he... Actually, I'm not sure if he's a dual citizen or not. Obviously, he would be allowed to be, because as a Jewish person, you're allowed to settle in Israel, right? Well, as a white Jewish person, you're allowed to settle in Israel. Or at least become an Israeli citizen, even if you don't necessarily settle there. Yeah, I did see that non-binary. Yeah, the let's say unfortunate numbers of the executive order. Like, everyone knows the Nazis like Donald Trump, so the idea that he's not an anti-Semite is fucking stupid.
Suspect at least one of them is the reason why Senator Schumer has so far declined to describe Donald Trump as an anti-Semite. But it doesn't matter which one it is, because either one of them...
Well, Nazis were okay with Zionists in the sense that it was a short-term answer to get rid of some of the Jewish people. But there's a played-up bit that I don't want to play into, that Nazis will say dumb shit, right? Like,
oiled like a baby otter.
Thank you, Ben. No, hang on. Sorry, hang on. Because I'll forget if I don't say it now. Thank you, Carl Brown, with another gifty. Much love to you, Carl. Very generous, mate. Legend. Anyway, there's a bit that Nazis say. I forget the name of the fucking document. That's so annoying. Anyway, there was a document where the Nazis signed with this Zionist organisation, And again, remember, Zionism at this time was a very fringe position in the Jewish communities of Europe. They didn't. Zionism was like really not nothing, but it was like a small percentage of the Jewish population actually believed in that. In fact, a lot of them were communists or socialists. Some of them were liberals, some of them were conservatives, of course, and various other things. But Zionists were not huge factor. And so the Nazis signed this document with a Zionist organization to try and essentially do a kind of broad front as to get Jewish people to like fuck off and leave, go to Palestine, go to Ethiopia, go to fucking wherever. And they even, of course, later had this plan, the Nazis, of sending the Jewish people to Madagascar. Havara, there we go. The Havara Agreement is the fucking one I'm thinking of. Thank you, non-binary. Anyway, it's played up enormously by either ignorant or badly intentioned people who bring it up to try and make it seem like Zionists are inherently just like the Nazoids, which obviously isn't really true. Especially those earlier ones who, in many cases, were more theoretical about it rather than necessarily saying they wanted to outlaw this, that, and the other. I think a lot of the early Zionists would be disgusted with what Israel has become. Many of them were not Jewish supremacists. Many of them wanted to oppose the targeting of Jewish people by just saying, okay, the Christians of Europe have made it clear they're never going to live alongside us peacefully, so we need to go somewhere for our safety, right? A lot of it was down to that. And I think, like I said, I think a lot of those people would be fucking disgusted with the ethnic supremacism of the modern Israeli state. And yeah, people big up the Havara Agreement as much more integral or worthwhile or powerful or impactful than it ever actually was. The Nazis hated Zionists as well because, of course, the Zionists were also Jewish, so they didn't care. They didn't like them at all. It was just yet another, and again, this is where you've got to bear in mind with the Nazis. It was yet another stepping stone for them. And that whenever an agreement was signed with the Nazis, it was always temporary. It was never ever, even the ones that were literally said oh, this is a 20-year agreement. It was never going to last 20 years. It was meant to last as long as it was convenient for Hitler and his wants. So it was just another temporary alliance of convenience that can be instantly thrown away and forgotten as soon as it's not of any importance or use. So they weren't actually Zionists in any real sense at all. But that's not to say they wouldn't work with Zionists, because they'd work with anyone. The 1 second they're in bed with Mussolini, the next they're in bed with Stalin, the next they're in bed with Chamberlain or Franco or fucking Daladier or whoever. There was no consistency to any of it. Yeah. Yeah, very much like the American government's agreements with the native peoples. They were to be used and consolidated and then discarded. Take a bit more land, use and discard it. Relocate a few thousand people, kill them, destroy all of their integrity, force them into white schools, forcibly put them into white families to, kill the savage, so to speak. Yeah. Pretty similar stuff. Anyway, we're nearly done with this, and then we can all go to bed or whatever.
Is enough to prove that for all of his other positive attributes and for all of his contributions and for all of the good things he has done throughout his political career, right now.
Oh, and thank you, Carl Brown, for gifting, which I may have said, but I can't remember.
2025. Senator Chuck Schumer is not the kind of person that the Democratic Party needs. He's not the kind of person the American people need. He is not the kind of person called for by this moment.
True. Everyone go and follow Steve Shives, honestly. One of the best, consistent, lib left, I suppose, content creators out there. What in the name of fuck is going on here? Okay, yeah, we'll end on this. Are videos of Putin satirizing in the Baltic states being made? Please recommend them to me. What the fuck? See, even Putin knows how to do the fucking thing. Hang on. See, even Putin knows how to throw his heart out without giving a fucking Nazi salute. Even the Vlad the Impaler knows how to do it. Is that a butthole reference?
Only two genders, male and female.
What the fuck? Okay, that's mental. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for that. See, this is the kind of quality content you get every day from the Kev Curve. Slop and then more slop. What a time to be alive, people. What a time to be alive. Anyway, edit. Yeah, I need to... Who are we going over to on the YouTube? I'm not even going to bother commenting. Well, it's its own thing. Thank you, non-binary. Much love. Much love. Who is going? Vosh, I guess. Oh, there you go. And on Twitch, well, who is going? Hassan Arbi is going, but there's literally no point going there. Zakap, regular in the chatterinos, so we'll go over to them. Say hello to our Australian friend Zakap, who is a cool biatch. Anyway, there we go. Boom. Right then. I'll be back, I think, tomorrow, and I think with No Justice, to do some award-winning journalism. Yeah, that should be fucking fun. Thank you everyone for listening and watching. Free Palestine. No pass around.